Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Deku was the flaming hero and the scientist part 1. If you guys enjoy this what if and want to see part 2, comment down below and let me know before I start. Please do support for more awesome content and leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also share this video with your friends and check out the description in my playlist. The author of the story, My Hero Academia fan 132 from Wattpad. So let's start the video. Melissa was a young blonde girl. She was now 5 years old. Normally, everyone at the age of 4 can check at the hospital if they have a quirk. However, Melissa and her father 𝗳𝗏𝗍𝗪 figured she might be a bit late to get her quirk. However, when she was 5 and still didn't have her quirk, she decided to see a doctor anyway. However, when the doctor did his examination, she didn't get the answer she was looking for. Melissa 𝗧𝗪 was quirkless. There was just a small population of quirkless people. Sadly, she was one of them. The next day she went to school. She thought that maybe her friends could cheer her up. She walked into the class, but noticed she was already taking all the attention. She thought maybe her classmates had already heard about her being quirkless, but it was actually her expression that took everyone's attention. She was normally very energetic. She mostly had a smile on her face and was always cheerful. However, this time, she looked a bit sad. Her smile was gone and was replaced by a bit of a frown, and her usually cheerful attitude changed to a more silent and distant one. She also became a bit insecure about herself. "Hey Melissa. What's up?" a red-haired girl asked. "Nothing, why do you ask?" Melissa asked. "You look like something happened. You can tell us, we are your friends," a blonde girl asked. Melissa looked around as if she was looking for something, like her motivation, something that made her feel more secure. "I'm quirkless," she stated. "Wait, what did you just say?" the redhead asked. "I said I'm quirkless," Melissa stated as tears formed in her eyes. "I wanted to become a hero just like everyone here, but I'm quirkless," she said. Her friends wanted to say something when the teacher walked in. Class took longer than normal, or that's how Melissa felt. It was finally lunch break. Melissa actually felt relieved after telling her friends what was wrong, and she actually looked forward to seeing them again. However, when she walked towards them, they looked at her with a dark and cold gaze. She could feel something had changed but walked towards them anyways. "Hey guys, what's wrong?" she asked. "Why did you come here?" a brown-haired girl asked. "But aren't we friends?" Melissa asked. "Why would we be friends with a quirkless little beach?" another blonde girl stated as she showed up. "But I thought we were friends," Melissa stated with tears in her eyes. "Who would want to be friends with a failure like you? Get lost," the blonde girl shouted. Melissa started to cry and quickly ran away. Why are they being so mean? Everything was fine this morning. Is being quirkless really that bad? She thought while running away. For people wondering, the blonde girl is basically like Bakugo was to Izuku. Eventually, after running for a long time, she arrived at a hill which looked over all of 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗏, the island where she lived. "I don't get it. This morning they called me their friend, now they call me a failure. Why do they have to be so mean?" she stated silently, even though no one could hear her, or so she thought. "Are you alright?" she heard from behind her. She quickly turned around and saw a small boy around her age. He had green hair, freckles, and a plain face. However, the plain face held something cute in it, in her opinion. "Not really," she stated, sobbing as she then looked back towards the city. "Is it alright if I sit next to you?" the boy asked. "You want to sit next to a worthless, quirkless failure?" Melissa asked, a bit depressed. "Sure, I'd love to," the boy stated, which surprised her. He quickly ran next to her and sat down. "You may be quirkless, but you're not a worthless failure," he then stated with a smile as he looked towards the clear blue sky. "I am. This morning I still had friends, but since they know I'm quirkless, they just tell me I'm worthless and a failure, and that no one wants to be friends with me," she stated. "Well, guess I'm no one then," the boy stated with a bright smile. "What do you mean?" she asked. "I'd love to be friends with you. I don't care if you have an awesome quirk or no quirk at all. That doesn't change a thing about the person. I'd still want to be friends with you," the boy stated as he looked at her with a soft smile. "Wait, now I remember you," she stated. "You're that boy that moved here last year," she stated, surprised. "That's right, I'm Izuku Midoriya, and you are Melissa 𝗧𝗪, right?" Izuku asked. "I am, but how do you know?" she asked. "Well, we've been in the same class since I moved here," Izuku stated, scratching his head. "Wait, are you for real? Why did I never notice that?" she asked. "Well, You had your own usual group you were with, and I never really got accepted here since I'm an outsider, 𝗧𝗵𝗃 stated as he laid on his back staring at the sky. I noticed something was off about you this morning and decided to keep a watch. Then I noticed what they said and I saw you running off, so I followed you, Izuku explained as that surprised her. Why would you do that when you don't even know me, she asked. Do I need a reason then? Well, if I had to give a reason, it's because I was worried, that's all, he stated bluntly. Why were you worried about someone you don't know? She asked, a bit confused. Because I noticed you are a kind person, however I also notice how people act against quirkless people, and I immediately noticed the change in your friends. However, if they were really friends of yours, then they would have just accepted the fact that you're quirkless and stay friends with you, Izuku stated. Why aren't you getting accepted though? You are a kind person, 𝗬𝗃. You don't seem like the type to pick a fight or anything, so why haven't they accepted you yet? She asked. Well, I guess it's because of the reason that brought me here, Izuku stated. She looked at him and saw some sadness in his before shining eyes. May I ask what that reason was? She asked a bit carefully. Sure, although I don't like to talk about it. I guess it's fine if I tell you. You are talking about your problem, 𝗬𝗃, so Izuku stated. I was brought here after a villain attack. When I just turned 4 and left from the hospital to see what my quirk was, we got attacked, Izuku stated. We, she asked. My mother and IG stated. Your mother? I've never seen her here before, she stated. That's because she got killed by that villain, Izuku stated as his smile then disappeared. That's horrible, Melissa stated in a sad tone. It was. I saw how they slashed her down right in front of me. I managed to get away. A hero found me and protected me. Afterwards I was brought here because the villains didn't attack randomly. They actually target me. They thought here would be the best place to bring me so I would be safe, Izuku stated. I see, that's really rough, she stated. But where do you live now then? She asked. I'm actually living under an orphanage, but since they are too scared that the villains might come for me again, they got me my own apartment somewhere. They do bring food and money over daily, but only when I'm away, Izuku stated. So how come no one at school accepts you then? They can't possibly know about this. She asked. One of your former friends is from that orphanage, 𝗬𝗃, so I guess she told everyone about it, Izuku said as he sighed. 𝗧𝗃, what an annoying girl, she stated. Well, it was one of your friends? Izuku laughed a bit awkwardly. But do you have any idea why the villains were after you? She asked. I think I do, but I can't be certain. About that, Izuku stated. So what is it? She asked. My quirks, he answered. Your quirk? She asked as Izuku nodded. Having a quirk isn't always that great. Sure, you gain power, and you can try to become a hero, but if you've got a powerful quirk, villains will hunt you down to get the power on their side, he explained. What's your quirk then? She then asked curiously. You mean you haven't noticed it yet? Izuku asked a bit surprised. Noticed what? She asked, surprised and confused. Don't you feel anything? He asked. Well, I feel warm, but that's because of the sun, right? She asked. All right, I'll stop my quirk. Let's see if you can feel the difference, Izuku said as he undid his quirk. Melissa immediately felt a cold chill as then the cold wind cooled her down. I didn't notice it was so cold up here. Wait, cold? You have a quirk that warms others up? She asked confused. Actually, he said as he held up his hand as he then showed a flame. I have a fire quirk, but I have learned to use it to warm others up, and also myself since the room is mostly chilly, he explained. Wow, that's really cool, she stated excited. I guess this talk and my quirk did cheer you up, Izuku stated as he smiled again. Melissa looked surprised but then smiled at him. Hey Izuku, Melissa asked after a while. Yeah. What is it? He asked. Do you want to meet my father? He's really cool. He invented a lot of gear that is being used by pros nowadays. He even made the #1 hero in the world his hero suit. She stated. Wow, that's so cool. I'd love to meet him if that's alright, he stated. Alright then, let's go, she said as she stood up with a smile. Izuku jumped up and walked after her. They walked through the city as everyone gave them strange glances. Some were because of Izuku and his story, while others were about Melissa being quirkless. However, both of them didn't care and just walked through. There you are, little beach, they heard from behind them. They looked around and saw the girls that bullied Melissa before. Where did you run off to? Thanks to you we got into trouble, you worthless witch. The blonde girl stated. Come on, Melissa, they aren't worth it, Izuku stated as he softly pushed Melissa forward. Ah, the little lonely brat joined her party. Guess you guys can be worthless together, the blonde stated. Melissa looked back and noticed a slight sad look on Izuku's face, however he ignored it. Guess it's better that your mother got killed if you are even hooking up with a worthless nobody like her, the girl stated. Izuku stopped. You don't have the right to talk about my mother, Izuku stated as he turned around with a cold look in his eyes. My mother was a great woman, and I know she's proud of how I am right now, and I know she's smiling because I'm friends with Melissa. At least we have human decency. Can't say the same about you girls. First you act like you are Melissa's friend, then you cast her aside like trash, Izuku stated as he faced them. Melissa stood behind him, a bit worriedly. Well, she gets treated like what she is, trash, and trash belongs in the trash bin, the girl stated. True, so why are you still standing there? Izuku asked as this the girl off. I see, so you are one of those guys, huh? Big mouth and nothing to back it up. Just watch, I'll make your life a living hell, the girl stated. I wish you the best of luck. I've already had my worst moment when my mother died. You can't make anything worse than that, and I survived that, Izuku stated as he turned around back to Melissa. Let's go, he stated as she walked next to him, a bit worriedly. Are you all right? She asked silently. Yeah, why wouldn't I be? She's not worth it to get upset about, Izuku stated with a smile. Suddenly a wind arrow shot towards Izuku and Melissa. Melissa had turned around and saw the arrow as she braced for impact. However, the impact never came. She only felt warmth. When she opened her eyes again, she saw a small wall of fire in front of her which blocked the arrow. You sure that was a wise decision? She heard Izuku say as the flames dropped to the floor and circled around her and Izuku on the ground. Izuku was glancing at them sideways. You think I let you say such things and let you walk away? She shouted as she got another wind arrow ready. She then launched it at him. And you think power like that will make a difference? Izuku asked as a line of flame shot up blocking the arrow. Let me tell you something. Just because you've got a quirk doesn't make you stand above others. We both have a quirk, so if you think like that, we're equal, however, Izuku stated as his flames started to rise. I can make you just as defenseless as someone who is quirkless, Izuku stated. The girl stopped her quirk and quickly ran away as Izuku sighed. Wow, that was intense, Melissa stated, sweating. Sorry about that, I had to act that way or she would never stop. I'm usually not like this, Izuku said softly. You really are strong, even though you're only 5, she stated. Well, I've been training non-stop, so I guess it makes sense, Izuku stated. They then walked towards the David's lab. Alright, here it is. This is my father's lab where he invents all his gear, Melissa stated as she opened the door. Ah, Melissa, there you are. I got called by the school that you ran off, but I didn't see you in your room or anywhere for that matter, David stated worriedly. I'm sorry, Dad, she stated in a sad tone. Please don't blame her, Mr. Shield. It wasn't her fault. People started to bully her because she was quirkless. I found her on top of the hill that looks over the city, Izuku stated. I see. I feared that was the case. Thanks for bringing her back, David stated. 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗃, Izuku answered, holding up his hand as David then looked surprised. Really? You are 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗃. As part leader of this city, I knew you came here a year ago, but I never really thought you would be this cheerful, or that you would be the person to bring her back, David stated. Well, considering what happened back then, I can understand your confusion, but then again, my mother wouldn't want me to sulk, or to distance myself from people, she explained. Well, you're right about that, he stated with a smile. Thanks again for bringing her back, Izuku, he stated. It wasn't a problem at all, sir. We talked a lot, and even became friends, Izuku stated. Well, would you look at that, to think that the 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗃, who wouldn't be accepted by others, would become friends with Melissa, who now got bullied because of being quirkless, David stated. Well, they did come back to bully her again though, Izuku stated sadly. But you totally scared them off. You were incredible, Melissa stated. I guess you're right, Izuku scratched the back of his head as David just smiled at the two. Do you two want to grab some dinner? You've been away for quite some time and it's already dinner time, David stated. You sure it's alright? I know what they say about me on the island. Is it alright for you to eat with someone like me? Izuku asked. Melissa was surprised by this sudden change in Izuku, then surprised about things being said about him. What are they saying about you? Melissa asked. People don't accept him for 2 reasons, David stated. One is for the reason I told you before, Izuku stated. And the other, she asked, because people believe that Izuku will bring villains here, David stated as Melissa got wide eyes. Well, I don't care what they say, I'm going to eat with you, she stated as it was Izuku's time to be surprised. Let's just order some food, that way we can avoid any chaos and problems, David stated. That's honestly a bit more relieving, Izuku stated. After that they ordered some food and stayed to talk a while longer. Izuku had shown David his quirk. So, Izuku, what do you want to be when you grow up? David asked. I actually want to become a hero. I want to save people, but also make sure they don't have to witness what I had, Izuku stated. That's an awesome reason, Melissa stated. I wanted to become a hero as well, but then I got to hear I'm quirkless, she stated a bit sadly. Well, why don't you become a hero indirectly, Izuku asked. What do you mean, she asked. Well, what I mean is sitting right in front of you, Izuku said, pointing at David. Mr. Shield's inventions have helped a lot of heroes save others. It's sometimes thanks to his inventions that they manage to get through things, Izuku stated. I may have been silent, but I know you are really smart, so I'm sure you can become just as great, no, even greater than your father. Not to be rude, Mr. Shield, but she'll have to aim above you as motivation, Izuku quickly stated. It's alright, I understand, and honestly I'm glad Melissa made such a good friend, David stated with a smile. He's right, making inventions has also been something I found amazing, that's it. That's my new goal, Melissa stated. Well then, let's become partners once we graduate. You'll make inventions, and I use them to save people, that way we're both heroes that save people, Izuku stated with a smile. Yeah, she shouted excitedly. Izuku eventually stayed there for the night as he laid on the couch. David insisted to make another bed for him. However, Izuku said that the couch would be enough for him. Izuku and Melissa had become good friends in just a day's time, and David was really fond of Izuku. Time skip, 11 years. Both Izuku and Melissa were now 16 years old. Izuku had trained for years to improve his quirk. Melissa, on the other hand, made it into the school for inventors and was doing extremely well. She was really smart. Today she had a day off, and she was walking towards her dad's lab. I wonder what he'll think about my next invention, she stated as she walked through the halls cheerfully. Ever since Melissa made it into the school, she invented some amazing gear already. She created a full gauntlet which was able to withstand some of All Might's punches. She also made some defensive gear. She had arm braces which were like shields. She made these actually for Izuku, as well as gloves specially for him. The gloves were made fireproof. It was actually for a future hero suit for him. The gloves were black and the leather used for it was extremely smooth. If he putted it on, he didn't even feel the glove around his hand at all, yet it was still there. It looked cool and it had resistance to heat. Now she was working on creating something else called Quirk Ball, people with long-ranged quirks or substances, or even anything like Izuku's flames, or maybe a laser. The ball could absorb it and stay in place like some sort of bomb. It would be an amazing item for if a hero was outnumbered badly and had to retreat, maybe even as defense, use it to absorb a blow and throw it back like a bomb. Suddenly when she walked through the hall, the ceiling collapsed a little further ahead, however it created a lot of dust. Suddenly Izuku ran from the dust towards her at incredible speed. He immediately grabbed her, placed a hand on her mouth and got into the closest room. Melissa was a bit in panic. I'll explain later, Izuku stated. She placed a hand on his arm which held the hand on her mouth. However, his arm felt wet. She looked at her hand and noticed that it was BLD. She got wide eyes when she noticed that. Afterwards she got worried. Get him. He must have gone that way. They heard someone shout. They waited till all of them passed by. When it seemed like they passed, Izuku opened the door and walked through it with Melissa. So you were hiding here after all. Good thing I stayed behind, one of the villains stated from behind the door. Izuku said as he grabbed Melissa and ran. You won't escape, the villain shouted as swords shot upwards from the ground. Izuku boosted himself with his flames as he shot a powerful flame blast through the wall to create an opening. He quickly flew down to the streets and hid in an alley. There he released Melissa. She stood on her own feet and looked at him. He was bleeding quite much. She noticed cuts on his arms, chest, back and legs. He even had small cuts in his face. Izuku, what happened back there? Where is my father? She asked worriedly. No time to explain now. We have to get away from here right now, Izuku stated as he grabbed her hand and started running. Where are we going? She asked. To the airport. Your father managed to get us a last-second trip out of here, but we'll have to be quick, Izuku stated. Wait, not without my father, she stated. Your father isn't on I-Island anymore, Izuku stated as he kept running with her. Wait, what do you mean? She asked, horrified. I'll explain once we're in the plane. For now, please just follow me, Izuku stated. She heard regret and guilt in his voice as well as sadness. Something happened, she thought, however for now she had to follow Izuku while she could. Eventually they made it to the airport and quickly got on board. They were placed in a secluded part of the plane so they would have privacy, especially with Izuku's wounds. Can you tell me what happened back there now? She asked as Izuku sat in his chair while feeling the pain from his wounds. Villains infiltrated I-Island, Izuku stated. What? She stated, shocked. That's not all, Izuku stated as his face showed more guilt and sadness. I'm sorry, but they took your father David's shield away. Izuku had just told Melissa that I-Island was being taken over by villains, as well as David's shield being taken away by them. What do you mean he got taken away? Melissa asked. The villains captured him and took him away. I heard something about Japan, however I'm not sure if he's there. Maybe he's still there, but he could also be in Japan. However, if he really is in Japan, then that's good because that's where we are heading right now. However, if he's still on I-Island, then it's still a good call to leave, Izuku stated. Why did we have to leave there? We could have stayed. We could hide there and get stronger then fight them. Melissa stated, very upset. We're leaving because your dad told me to, Izuku stated. What do you mean? Melissa asked, surprised. I'll explain everything that happened, Izuku stated. Alright guys, we'll be having a flashback now. However, Izuku will be explaining to Melissa what happened. However, since I decided not to tell what happened in the first chapter, I decided to make it a flashback. Izuku was just done training his quirk, as well as his own body. He tried to train his body so he didn't just have to rely on his quirk. He already buffed up quite a bit. He also had a lot of strength, speed and stamina. Sometimes people thought his quirk was close combat and a fighting type quirk. However, it really was a fire quirk. Izuku decided to check up on David. He did that a lot of times, just his usual training, then checking up on the new inventions from David. He also knew Melissa would be coming there after school and he was wondering what she was going to make this time, as she also invented quite some items already. Some were mostly created for him, like guarding lower arm braces and fingerless gloves which had heat resistance. She even created his hero suit for whenever he could use it. She always holds it close in capsule that could shrink and expand whenever she touched a button. She just placed his hero suit in it and shrank the capsule so she could keep it close for whenever he could use it. He didn't know about it yet, however she wanted to give it to him as a gift when he started his hero training. He knew about the braces and gloves, just not the whole hero suit. Also, the picture above is his hero suit, however the braces on the arm are a little bit thicker, and his hands have fingerless gloves on them, and the thing over his butt and crotch, I don't know how to call it, will also be gone since I don't really it. Izuku walked towards David's room, knocked and walked inside. However, when he did, he saw David being tied up with a head wound. Who are you guys and what did you do to the professor? Izuku asked seriously as flames swirled around him. Ah, I see the brat is here, Oswell. It's a bit troublesome you found out about this. However, we'll be sure to capture you. You know there is someone quite interested in you, the leader of the villains said. The leader had an iron mask which only showed his mouth and eyes. The rest was covered, but Izuku noticed some skin as if he was burned. There were a few more villains, as one of them had changed his arm to something like a sword. It was sharp like a sword yet different. Suddenly there came a lot more villains inside, as one of them turned into a brute and the other had a lot of speed with big hands. What's with those guys? Izuku thought. What do they need the professor for? Although he made a lot of good inventions, what is the point of kidnapping him like this? He won't be able to use the materials around here, but the biggest question is, how did they get in? And how were they able to move around without anyone noticing? Izuku thought as he got ready. Capture him, but try not to kill him. That person helped us. Now it's our turn to help him, the leader said. The person with sword arms launched at Izuku, however Izuku managed to dodge. But then the brute showed up and punched Izuku in the face, making him bounce back a little. Izuku shot his flames at close range to blow the brute away. When Izuku did this, He noticed the man with sword arms running at him. Izuku tried shooting fire at him, however the fast villain threw what seemed to be wind. However, Izuku's flames then disappeared, then appeared in the villain his hand for a second. Izuku completely forgot about the one with swords as he gave a stabbing barrage. Izuku managed to avoid a fatal blow, however gained a lot of slashes on his body and a few small cuts in his face. Izuku released a lot of flames to make him back away. He then charged at the fast villain, shooting flames to his face from close range, making a direct hit. He quickly charged towards David as he grabbed him and wanted to pull back, however his path was blocked by the brute. Just give it up, you're outnumbered and you've got nowhere to run. If you keep this up you'll die before you ever have the chance to save that man, the leader stated as he ticked a gun to his mask. I won't give up, Izuku said while the speed user appeared behind him acting as if he was grabbing David. However, when Izuku turned around he disappeared and Izuku was slashed in his back by metal. It's easy for us to take you down, all we have to do is aim at the professor and you'll throw your body in front of him to protect him, the leader stated. Izuku, he's right, leave me be for now, David stated. Leave this place, take Melissa and run. There is a plane waiting for you to Japan. I learned that the villain after you is there, and I heard them mention it, so maybe they are taking me there. Leave this place, go to Japan and get stronger, then you can fight them again, David whispered. I can't leave you here, Melissa will hate me if I do, and I just can't leave you like this, certainly not with them, Izuku stated. Just do it, you can explain everything to her when you are both safe. Please do as I say, if you keep this up you'll die before you can do a thing. They get hits in on you because of me, David said silently so only Izuku heard. Leave, get stronger, then you can try and save me, David repeated as Izuku nodded. Can you two stop whispering over there, the leader stated as he used his quirk again, launching metal bars at Izuku as this smashed him through the ground while creating smoke. And flashback, that's when I found you, Izuku stated after explaining everything. After hearing all that, Melissa was crying, out of worry for her father, but also because of her worries for Izuku. He was badly wounded while protecting her father, then he was told to escape with her to get stronger and try to save him when Izuku gets stronger. I didn't know you were fighting up there, I was on my way to see my dad when I suddenly saw you coming down from the floor above, but what you said does sound like my father, Melissa stated. Still, I'm worried about you, Oswell, those are pretty bad wounds, Melissa stated. Trust me, they feel worse than they seem, Izuku sighed. We'll be arriving in Japan soon, however if the villains form island know we escaped there, he'll probably know we're headed to Japan, so there might be a possibility that there will be villains waiting for us, Izuku explained. So what do we do if there really are villains waiting for us? Melissa asked. Well, I'd say push past them and hope we escape, however I doubt I can put up much of a fight like this, but I'll definitely keep you safe, Izuku stated with a smile. This is no laughing matter, this is serious, Izuku, Melissa stated a bit in panic. I know it is, however I'll have to figure something out soon, Izuku stated. We'll be arriving in Japan shortly, please put on your seatbelts and prepare for landing, the heard from the speakers. 𝗵𝗃 I had hoped I had a little more time, Izuku stated. Not long after, the plane landed and everyone was to get out. Izuku waited till he was almost last since his wounds would definitely attract attention. Melissa quickly pulled a coat around him to hide his wounds. It's not much but I hope it helps, she whispered. Thanks, this way my wounds won't be seen, this'll hide us for a little bit, Izuku stated with a smile. They walked through the airport and were about to go outside. They're here, Izuku suddenly stated as warp holes appeared. Villains then walked out as they surrounded Izuku and Melissa. Now look what we have here. Long time no see, brat, a big muscled man spoke. Izuku remembered him from the attack years ago, however this time, the villain was missing an eye. Man, what happened to your eye? Izuku asked bluntly to throw them off their game. Some people trying to play hero crushed my eye before I killed them, the man named Muscular stated. Just like you killed my mother? Izuku asked coldly as Melissa was surprised by the sudden change in tone. Ah yes, I remember her, she was screaming a lot, mostly for you to escape, however after that were screams of pain before I crushed her throat and snapped her neck? Muscular stated. Melissa noticed flames swirling around Izuku as he gritted his teeth. The flames became more and more intenser. Izuku, Melissa said as she placed her hand on his arm. I know, I can't fight him right now, don't worry, I know, Izuku said silently so only she heard about it. So tell me, are you going to run away again like a little HT or are you going to face me this time? 𝗵𝘃𝗲 asked as the other villains around them got ready 𝗧𝗜𝗨. Around them counting 𝗵𝘃𝗲 were 5 villains in total. Normally they wouldn't be a problem for Izuku after his training, however he knew 𝗵𝘃𝗲 was very strong in his own right, and to top it off he was too injured to fight and really needed to get his wounds treated. I'm sorry to disappoint, but I'm choosing to run, Izuku stated as he placed his arm around Melissa's middle, which made her blush. He quickly activated his quirk and flew off, however his speed and height weren't anything impressive as he was too weak. You were faster last time, or is it because you were afraid to die back then? 𝗵𝘃𝗲 asked as he had quickly caught up to Izuku as his body was covered in muscle-like veins. Izuku said before receiving a heavy punch to the face, sending him flying towards the ground with a lot of force. Izuku managed to adjust his fall so he would slam into the ground and keep Melissa safe. He crashed into the ground. He then quickly checked Melissa. She felt some of the force, however she wasn't injured. I see, you are protecting that girl, which means if I aim at her, you'll fight me, 𝗵𝘃𝗲 stated. I won't let you touch her, Izuku stated as he got up weakly and stood in front of her. You think you can stop me? 𝗵𝘃𝗲 asked. It doesn't matter if I think I can or not, I won't let you hurt her no matter what, Izuku stated. He was standing though, however just standing on his feet and forcing his quirk was draining a lot of his remaining power at a fast rate. Then just try and stop me, 𝗵𝘃𝗲 shouted as he shot towards them. Izuku quickly caught the fists, however he was pushed back with his feet through the ground quite a bit. Then the other 4 villains caught up to them 𝗧𝗜𝗨 and stood in front of Izuku 𝗧𝗜𝗨. Izuku kicked 𝗵𝘃𝗲 in the gut with his flames, pushing him back just a little. Get them? 𝗵𝘃𝗲 shouted as long-ranged quirks shot at him. Izuku created a wall of flames to protect him and Melissa from the attacks. He was being pushed back quite a bit from the attacks. He then looked behind him and noticed Melissa looking at him worriedly. Izuku then turned his attention back to the attacks and managed to stand his ground as he wasn't being pushed back anymore. However, he felt his power slowly getting weaker and weaker. Holding up the 𝗵𝘃𝗲 protect them was getting a lot harder 𝗧𝗜𝗨. Izuku was exhausted from using his quirk 𝗧𝗜𝗨 as being weakened a lot by his injuries. Then the flames disappeared as Izuku had become too weak to use his quirk anymore. However, the attacks kept coming and were coming straight for Izuku. Izuku no! Melissa shouted as she saw Izuku standing there with his arms limbly besides his body. She knew he was at his limit, however just when the attacks were about to reach him, someone jumped in front of him and blocked the attacks with the person's own kind of shield. Then Melissa noticed quirk shots coming from the air as they shot at the long-distance villains, and lastly she noticed a blonde person with a red cape charging at 𝗵𝘃𝗲. She noticed that 𝗵𝘃𝗲's punch went right through the person. Then the person gave 𝗵𝘃𝗲 a mighty blow which pushed him back. TSH, count yourself lucky today, we were only ordered to take that brat, we weren't ordered to fight any other heroes, 𝗵𝘃𝗲 stated as warp gates opened up and the villains walked through it. The 3 people that came to Izuku and Melissa's rescue stayed in place as they stayed in front of Izuku like guards. At first Melissa could only see 2, however when she looked up she saw a blue-haired girl floating in the air. They really saved us. Especially Izuku, Melissa thought. She quickly ran towards Izuku who was standing weakly on his feet as the warp gates disappeared. The girl in the air landed on the ground as all 3 of them then turned around to face Izuku and Melissa. Izuku, are you okay? Melissa asked. Izuku forced himself to charge his flames. He could see 3 people in front of him, and he didn't know if they were on the good or the bad side. Even though they saved him, he still didn't trust them since he was being attacked a few seconds ago. Izuku weakly took a fighting stance. Please, calm down, we're not here to fight you, the blonde said as he walked towards Izuku and placed a hand on his fist. Izuku still tried to force his flames as Melissa then placed her arms around his neck and hugged him. Izuku, it's alright, it's enough, you don't have to fight, they're gone, she stated with tears in her eyes. After hearing that, Izuku lowered his arms. Is it really over? He asked weakly. Yes, it is, she stated as she held him firmly. She then felt Izuku slowly falling to his knees. She quickly followed it and fell to her knees 𝗧𝗜𝗨 as she then caught him and held him close. When falling to his knees and laying against Melissa, Izuku's coat opened up and his wounds were revealed. Those are some horrible wounds. And it seems he lost a lot of BLD already, we have to get him treated. The blonde stated. I know, Melissa said, sobbing a little. Is it alright if I take him on my back? We can go to you, we have a great nurse there, the blonde stated. Melissa didn't respond and held Izuku tightly. Even though she told Izuku he didn't have to fight anymore, she still didn't trust the three people in front of her. You don't have to fear anything from us, we're heroes in training. My name is 𝗵𝗃𝗀 𝗧𝗏, and these are my friends. The blue-haired girl is 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗁 and the other person is 𝗵𝗃𝗲 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗵𝗃𝗀 explained. Melissa looked a bit hopeful at him. Trust me, we won't hurt him or let anyone else do so, we just want to help, 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗁 suddenly said. Melissa looked at her and 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗁 saw the tears in her eyes. However, the three also noticed that there was a lot more going on than what just happened. Will you trust us to take him to the nurse at our school? You can come as well, of course, 𝗵𝗃𝗀 stated. Melissa still wasn't completely convinced, however Izuku was very weak and really needed to be treated. She didn't have any choice and accepted. 𝗵𝗃𝗀 then took Izuku on his back. Tamaki ran besides Melissa and 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗁 flew above them. They quickly made their way to UA. Once there, 𝗵𝗃𝗀 saw his teacher 𝗧𝗵𝗃 walking in front of UA. 𝗧𝗵𝗃 noticed them coming and saw they were in a hurry. Hey 𝗵𝗃𝗀, weren't you guys patrolling? 𝗧𝗵𝗃 asked as he then saw Izuku on his back. What happened? Is he alright? He quickly asked. He's very weak but alive, I'm going to take him to Recovery Girl, 𝗵𝗃𝗀 stated as he then quickly ran inside UA towards Recovery Girl. 𝗧𝗵𝗃 ran after them. Once there, Recovery Girl was taken back by surprise as 𝗵𝗃𝗀 suddenly barged in. Recovery Girl. We've got an emergency. He immediately said. She saw Izuku on his back and told 𝗵𝗃𝗀 to place him on a bed. The coat was taken off. 𝗵𝗃𝗀, Tamaki, 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗁, 𝗧𝗵𝗃 and Recovery Girl were horrified by the wounds Izuku had. 𝗵𝗃𝗀 and his friends had seen some of the wounds, however when they saw all his wounds, they were horrified. 𝗵𝗃𝗀, what happened? 𝗧𝗵𝗃 asked. We were patrolling the area and heard some explosions. 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗁 flew in the air to look around to see where the sound was coming from. She then noticed this girl standing behind this boy. The boy was protecting himself and the girl from villains. We made it in time to save them, however even when the villains were gone, he was still forcing himself to activate his quirk. When she calmed him down and told him it was alright, he collapsed, 𝗵𝗃𝗀 stated. I see, I'm glad you made it in time and both of them are alive, 𝗧𝗵𝗃 stated. Still, I wonder how he got those wounds. They are from sharp objects, however none of the villains back there had such an attack. Still he has these horrible wounds, 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗁 stated. Could you tell us what happened to him? And why you were attacked? 𝗵𝗃𝗀 asked Melissa. Actually, everything is going so fast, I don't even know anymore what happened and what is happening right now, Melissa stated. I think Izuku can tell you more about it, but he'll have to wake up first, Melissa stated. What's your name? 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗁 asked as she walked to Melissa. My name is Melissa, she stated, still upset as she stared at Izuku. Don't you worry, Melissa, I'm sure Recovery Girl can heal Izuku, 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗁 stated with a bright smile. I really hope so, Melissa stated as she walked towards Izuku and sat down next to him. Recovery Girl treated Izuku's wounds and also gave him a BLD transfusion since he lost a lot of BLD. Now, all they could do was wait for Izuku to wake up. Recovery Girl explained that she healed him and that his wounds had closed. However, some wounds would leave a scar like the slash on his back, and some on his hips. She then told 𝗵𝗃𝗀 and his friends that they should probably tell Principal 𝗫𝗍 about what happened. They had left to go and tell 𝗫𝗍 what happened. Then after a while, 𝗵𝗃𝗀 and his friends came back. Together with 𝗫𝗍, however, another teacher named Aizawa came with them as he was curious. Izuku had woken up just before 𝗵𝗃𝗀 returned with 𝗫𝗍 and Aizawa. 𝗧𝗵𝗃 had stayed in the room to look after Izuku and Melissa. I see you're awake. That's good. How are you feeling? 𝗵𝗃𝗀 asked. Fine, I guess. My body feels heavy, she answered. That's because of the healing. Normally I can speed the healing process up by using my quirk, however that takes energy. Now I use my quirk to close up the worst wounds and treated the others myself. However, you already were exhausted, she explained. I see. Thank you for healing me, Izuku said softly. You guys saved us, right? Izuku asked as he turned to 𝗵𝗃𝗀, Tamaki and 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗁. We did. We made it just in time to block the attacks coming for you, 𝗵𝗃𝗀 stated. Thank you for saving us. 𝗧𝗵𝗵 safe while I was unconscious, Izuku stated. That's alright, but Izuku was it? Mirio asked. Yes, my name is Izuku, what did you want to ask, he asked. How did you get those horrible wounds? And why were you attacked? Mirio asked as Nizu, Aizawa and Snipe also listened closely. I've been attacked before by those villains. They killed my mother when I was 4, Izuku stated as they got wide eyes. Wait, I know about that, I was a part of the group that stopped those villains, Aizawa stated. Yes, I remember you, however I was brought to an island which would normally be as secure as the prison Tartaros, it's built like a shelter, but earlier, villains managed to get inside, they have probably taken control of the island, however they took Melissa's father, Izuku stated. I was there before they took him, I faced them and managed to fight back a little. However, as you could see, I had taken some pretty bad hits from protected her father. Eventually he told me to get away from there and get stronger so I would be able to face them, save her father and free the island, Izuku explained in a short version. I see, so you got away from there and got back here, that's when the villains found you and attacked, Aizawa said as Izuku nodded. Honestly, if it wasn't for them, I would have been a goner. I was totally out of energy and power and couldn't even use my quirk anymore, Izuku stated. You know how worried I was? Melissa suddenly yelled at him. In the plane you already admitted that you couldn't fight in the condition you were in, then you used your quirk against them anyway. You could have been killed. Melissa shouted as she started to cry and hugged him tightly. Honestly, it wasn't like I had another option. Muscular punched us through the ground and we were attacked. I just blocked. If I didn't, they would have captured or killed us, Izuku stated. Shut up, I was worried, and I'm trying to scold you. But I'm just so glad you are all right, she stated sobbing. I know, I don't blame you, Izuku stated as he hugged her back softly. Where are we anyway? Izuku asked. Oh right, you were unconscious. We're at UA, a hero school, Mirio stated. Oh alright, I've heard of UA, Izuku stated. Speaking of UA, Nizu stated. We have a good security system and also dorms the students live in, Nizu explained. Izuku, Melissa, would you like to stay here at UA? You'll be safe here, and you could also train and get stronger. Meanwhile, we can teach you too to become heroes, Nizu explained. Izuku looked at Melissa as she looked at him. Well, we'd like to, however there is one problem, Melissa stated a bit sadly. What's that? Nizu asked. I'm quirkless, Melissa stated sadly. But she's aiming to be a scientist and create some amazing inventions. She even made some already, Izuku stated excitedly. That's not a problem. If she wants to be a scientist and create inventions, then she can do just that. We have classes for that as well here at UA, although it doesn't come close to the school on island, Nizu stated. Well, that's the island we came from, and Melissa has been going to that school for a while, Izuku explained. Then I'm sure she'll fit right in. Nizu stated happily. I do have a question, Melissa said as she started to blush. Yes. Nizu asked softly. Well, you said dorms, but since we're taking different classes we should have different dorms, Melissa stated. You want to stay with Izuku, don't you? Recovery Girl asked as Melissa nodded. I'm still very scared, and I've never been off the island. Now I'm off the island, but only because villains took over the island and immediately after coming here we got attacked by more villains, Melissa stated. Well, if Izuku joined us, he'd stay in the dorms for Class 1A, which is under Aizawa right here, Nizu said pointing at Aizawa. They actually have one spot and room free, so if you wanted to stay with him, then you'll also have to share a room, Nizu explained. It isn't a problem for me, if you want to 𝗧𝗵𝗵, Izuku stated. Melissa began to blush when she thought about sharing a room with Izuku. However, she did feel safe around him and honestly she really liked Izuku, but she never found the right time to tell him. She was also a bit scared and insecure. Would he like her too? Would he love her 𝗧𝗵𝗵? She was also afraid that if she told him and he wouldn't feel the same, that she would have lost him. I'd really like that, to share a room with Izuku, Melissa stated as Izuku gave her a bright smile. Little did she know that Izuku was feeling the same as her. Well then, if that's all settled. Izuku, Melissa, I the principal and the teachers welcome you at UA, your hero academia. Izuku and Melissa had accepted the offer to stay in UA. Melissa was joining the other scientists, and Izuku was joining Class 1A for hero training. However, both of them would be sharing a room in the dorms for Class 1A. So, when will we start joining classes and get into the dorm? Izuku asked. Tomorrow. I know it's rather sudden, However, it might be better to let you join already instead of waiting till you are used to the place. If we wait, you'll also be behind the others. In terms of school work, 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 stated. So how much are we behind already? Izuku asked. Actually not that much, the school only started last week, so it's not such a big deal, 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 answered. And when will we join the dorm? Izuku asked. I would say right away. However, since it will be confusing if just walk in there saying you're a new classmate who will be staying there when they've never seen you in class before, so after school tomorrow 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 will bring you to the dorm and show you your room, 𝗵𝗃 explained. Well, I can understand that. I would be confused and uncomfortable as well if someone just walked in saying they are a new classmate that would be staying with us, Melissa stated as Izuku nodded. So where can we stay tonight then? Melissa asked, a bit uncomfortable. The teacher's dorm has a spare room, you can use that for tonight. It might be a bit uncomfortable being surrounded by teachers in one house, but it's just for one night, 𝗵𝗃 stated. Izuku looked at 𝗵𝗃 as he studied the creature. Is something the matter, Izuku? 𝗵𝗃 asked with a smile. No, nothing, I was just wondering, what exactly are you? Izuku asked as Melissa started laughing because of Izuku. I could be a bear or a mouse or a dog, but I'm the principal. 𝗵𝗃 stated excitedly. Well, okay then, Izuku stated. It wasn't actually an answer, but he just had to take the answer he got and deal with it. How old are you kids? 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 asked. We're both 16, they stated in unison as they then had to laugh because of it. So, Melissa and Izuku, both 16. 𝗵𝗃 stated. Melissa is quirkless, but that isn't a problem. She's a scientist, 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 stated as he and 𝗵𝗃 summed everything up. Izuku, you have a fire quirk, right? 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 asked. I do, Izuku answered as he was curious what would be next. Are you feeling good enough to show me some of it? I would like to see how good you can control your quirk as well as see how strong you are, 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 stated. Sure, I would love to, I'm feeling fine enough, Izuku stated as he didn't feel any pain. You sure? You've lost a lot of energy, Melissa stated. Yeah, I'm fine, don't worry, Melissa. I've been training a lot back at the island. Especially when you were at school, Izuku stated with a smile. Melissa, may we also see some inventions you've made so far? 𝗵𝗃 asked. We're just interested to see what you've made so far, he added. She then pulled a small capsule out of her back pocket. Well, this capsule is one of them already. With just a push on the button, I can make it go back to its normal size, or shrink it to this size to keep it with me, Melissa stated as 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 and 𝗵𝗃 were obviously surprised. That's actually pretty handy and smart, 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 stated. I've also created fingerless gloves with a lot of heat resistance, mostly for Izuku's quirk, as well as defensive braces for the lower arms. I made it for him to use on a hero suit, however it isn't only for him, anyone who wants to can use it. It's incredibly strong so he could even block a sword with it, as well as rock, even steel, Melissa stated. What do you have inside the capsule? 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 asked a bit curiously. Well, it was supposed to be a secret for when Izuku would have hero trainings, however since he'll be starting I can show it now. It's his hero suit, she stated as she opened the capsule and showed them. I know I've mentioned this in chapter 2, but since she shows it to them now I'll explain again. The picture above is his hero suit, the braces on his lower arm will be a bit thicker, he also has fingerless gloves, and the part on his crotch and butt will be gone. Still no idea what to call it, since I don't like it that much. I'm impressed you already made this, 𝗵𝗃 stated. There was something else I was working on, however then everything happened. I still have the blueprints here, Melissa stated as she took another capsule and showed them. A quirk ball? 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 asked confused. To explain it simply, everything that has form or has been shot can be absorbed in this ball. It can be used defensive to absorb an attack and redirect it, or it can be used to absorb attacks when you're regrouping with villains after you. You could use the ball as a bomb as it can be used with a timer, she explained. How did you think of this? 𝗵𝗃 asked. Well, to be completely honest, Izuku has been my inspiration for years, and I was thinking, what if he was ever being chased by villains with no time to counterattack? He could use this ball to shoot his own flames in it and throw the ball as a bomb while running, or he could absorb the power of the villain, his quirk, and throw it back or use it as a bomb to gain an opening to escape. She explained. Honestly, this is a really smart invention. I'm sure a lot of pros could use this. Some get in danger because of being chased, and some get in danger by not being able to guard an attack. So I'm sure this could be very useful, 𝗵𝗃 stated as 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 nodded. I agree everything you've made is already so amazing, but the new idea for a quirk ball is even more amazing. Izuku stated as this made her blush. Thanks Izuku, she stated while blushing. But they wanted to see what you can do too. Melissa quickly stated as Izuku had a face that said asterisk, oh yeah. I forgot. Asterisk, that's right, would you follow us outside? Aizawa asked as he walked up front. Nizu walked beside him as Izuku and Melissa followed them. So what would you like me to do? Izuku asked as Mirio, Tamaki and Nijire came outside Oswell as they were curious to see what he was capable of. First I would like to ask, what have you been training so far? Aizawa asked. I've trained my body physically on power, speed and endurance. I've also trained the power of my quirk, Oswell as the control. I've also made some special moves, Izuku explained. Could you show me a special move? Aizawa asked. You don't know my moves yet, so it's hard to ask what you'd like to see, Izuku stated as he was thinking. Is it alright if I just show you my favorite one? Izuku asked. That's alright, he stated. Izuku charged his quirk as flames swirled around him. The flames rose from behind him as it formed a lion made of flames. Flaming beast, Izuku stated. As the lion stayed behind him. How did you do that? Nijire asked curiously. By controlling my flames I can create objects, even animals like this. However, animals are a lot harder than objects. But I've made this lion so many times that it became child's play for me. I can even pet it like a normal animal, Izuku stated as he patted the lion of flames. Is it as fierce as it seems? Aizawa asked. Well, I'd say let's find out. However, do we have a long-ranged fighter? Izuku asked. We do, but what do you need a long-ranged fighter for? Nijire asked. A close-distance fighter would make it harder not to hurt him with my quirk. With long-ranged quirks, I can show how agile it is as well as how fast. I'll stop it in time before it hits, Izuku stated. Alright then, let's do it then. Nijire stated as she flew towards a distance as she then floated low to the ground so the lion could reach her. Ready when you are, just attack whenever you want to, Izuku stated. Nijire held out her hands as she shot her quirk like a small laser blast. It was extremely fast, however the lion was able to avoid it. The lion then charged at Nijire as she shot a barrage of those lasers, however the lion was able to dodge all of the attacks, all by Izuku's control of flames. Eventually the lion reached her and was about to grab her, but Izuku stopped it. Well, that's my control of my flames. I can make an animal and even make it move like that, Izuku stated. That's really incredible, Nizu stated as Aizawa was also a bit amazed by it. What's next? Izuku asked. Next we'll need another teacher to build some walls for us, Aizawa stated as he walked to a teacher called 𝗬𝗪𝗧. 𝗬𝗪𝗧 created a wall with at least 30 layers. Alright, shoot your quirk at this wall at full power, Aizawa stated. Izuku charged his flames as he then shot a blast of fire at it. Aizawa had thought only a few of the walls would be left standing, however the wall was completely gone. You've got some amazing strength and control, Izuku's Mirio stated. Thanks, I've trained a lot, he stated. Daichi's not that amazing, a blonde spiky-haired boy walked towards them. Bakugo, what are you doing here? Aizawa asked. I was just walking around and saw all of this, he stated. But he's not that impressive. He may have power and control, but that doesn't mean he can actually fight, Bakugo stated. Why don't we test that out then, Izuku stated confidently. Aizawa had a grin on his face as he liked Izuku's confidence. He really took a liking to Izuku. So far what he had seen from Izuku, he knew he was a kind-hearted boy and wasn't really held back by insecurities, but when it came to it, he was confident, not overconfident that he became arrogant like Bakugo, but still confident enough. Izuku, you've just healed, Melissa stated a bit worriedly. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Besides, the teachers can see for themselves if I can fight or not, he answered with a gentle smile. Kind and gentle while still being fierce and determined. How does he do it? Aizawa and Nizu thought at the same time. Izuku is right. We wanted to let him spar with someone so we could see his ability in battle. However, this might be a better solution, since this boy, Katsuki Bakugo, will also be a classmate to Izuku, Aizawa explained. So he'll be joining us, will he? Bakugo asked. Don't think I'll lose to you, he added as he took a fighting stance. Izuku jumped a few steps back. What? Are you scared? Bakugo asked. Not really, Just making some distance, Izuku stated. Too bad, I can fight both close and long-ranged. 𝗵𝗃𝗀 shouted as he threw explosions at Izuku, however they were blocked by the flames. His flames are really strong, that 𝗵𝗃𝗀 kid has some destructive power, but the flames managed to cancel it out, Mirio said. 𝗵𝗃𝗀 threw a barrage of explosions but Izuku just blocked them all with his flames, however this confused Melissa. What is he doing? I've seen Izuku train and fighting before I went to school, however he could do way more than this, Melissa stated. He's analyzing his opponent, Tamaki stated. Analyzing? What do you mean? She asked. 𝗵𝗃𝗀 has too much pride, his power and skill in his quirk made him arrogant. Izuku is testing to see if 𝗵𝗃𝗀 fights as aggressive as he looks, and he's also doing this to see just how strong 𝗵𝗃𝗀 is, Aizawa explained. He's only doing it because it's just a sparring match and because he's a classmate. You can see it in his stance. The way he stands is offensive, however he's only using defense, he's used to fighting, and has a way more different fighting style than he's using right now, Mirio stated as he watched Izuku closely. True, Izuku's fighting style uses a lot of thinking and strategy, however he fights more offensively than he does now, Melissa said. Fight me, you coward! 𝗵𝗃𝗀 shouted. If you insist, Izuku stated as he blew all of the incoming explosions away with his flames before they came any closer. The flames shot towards 𝗵𝗃𝗀 who managed to dodge it. But I should warn you, Izuku stated. I can fight long and close range as well, he suddenly said from behind 𝗵𝗃𝗀. Everyone was amazed by Izuku's speed as he then slammed 𝗵𝗃𝗀 to the ground with fist covered in flames. 𝗵𝗃𝗀 quickly shot up with his explosion as he launched at Izuku, however Izuku easily dodged the blast by jumping to 𝗵𝗃𝗀's side. Izuku then charged the flames in his legs as he started breakdancing with his flames, slamming around like 𝗵𝗃𝗀 dodged two of them, however he was then surrounded by them as they then slammed him from side to side. Izuku then stopped and undid his quirk. Is that enough? Izuku asked. Nizu and Aizawa nodded. He noticed Mirio and his friends looking amazed by him. Melissa however looked at him with dreamy eyes and a smile on her face. However that smile turned into shock when 𝗵𝗃𝗀 suddenly appeared behind Izuku. I'm not done with you! 𝗵𝗃𝗀 shouted as he wanted to blast Izuku's head. Aizawa was about to undo his quirk, however the moment 𝗵𝗃𝗀 shot his explosion, Izuku threw his hand towards 𝗵𝗃𝗀's hand that turned into a fist. Izuku's flames surrounded the explosion as they cancelled it out, and Izuku grabbed his fist as he then punched 𝗵𝗃𝗀 in the gut without even using his quirk. 𝗵𝗃𝗀 gasped for air as he was also coughing on the floor. Everyone looked surprised at what just happened. What? Izuku asked, clueless as to notice what they were so surprised about. Melissa then walked towards him. You were incredible, she said as she stood in front of him with her arms behind her back and a blinding smile. Afterwards Izuku and Melissa were shown to the teacher's dorm room where they could stay for the night until they would be joining Class 1A's dorm officially. They were brought dinner and then went to bed after thanking everyone. The next day, Aizawa and Izuku walked Melissa to her classroom for the scientists. At first she felt awkward joining in midterms, however she did walk in after Izuku gave her another heartwarming smile. Event Hoff she was quirkless, and was used to being bullied because of it, she walked in confidently. Afterwards Izuku and Aizawa walked towards Class 1A. Melissa had given Izuku the capsule with his hero suit before she walked into her own class. Izuku kept it close to him. He loved the suit, he liked the colors as well as the design, but he mostly loved it because Melissa had made it. Alright, are you ready? It might be a bit of a rowdy bunch and they might be noisy, but they are good kids, Aizawa stated before they walked in. Izuku nodded. Wait here till I tell you to come in, Aizawa stated strangely softly. Alright, everyone shut up and to your seats. Aizawa stated. What happened to 𝗵𝗃𝗀? He has bandages on his head and he's been grumpy ever since yesterday. He won't tell us anything. Izuku heard someone say. We'll be having someone joining our class and the dorm. As for 𝗵𝗃𝗀's bandages, that would be his doing as 𝗵𝗃𝗀 challenged him yesterday and lost, Aizawa stated as the whole class except for 𝗵𝗃𝗀 and Todoroki looked surprised. You can come in now, Aizawa stated. Izuku took a deep breath and walked into the class. Everyone, this is 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗃, he'll be joining us starting today. He'll also be sharing a room with a friend because they wanted to but also because of certain reasons. It's not my job to explain those reasons. It's all up to Izuku if he wants to tell you guys about it, 𝗧𝗏 stated. Alright Izuku, you can sit behind 𝗵𝘃𝗁. Izuku pointed to a table behind 𝗵𝘃𝗁 in front of a weird-looking kid with strange ball on his head. Classes went pretty smoothly, however in the cafeteria he just sat alone at a table, when suddenly Azui, Uraraka and Iida walked towards him together with Jiro and Momo. Hey Izuku, right? Uraraka asked. Yes, Izuku answered a bit awkward. Is it alright if we sit here with you? Momo asked. Sure, go ahead, Izuku said a bit surprised. Izuku, I noticed you were surprised by Momo's question, may I ask why? Azui asked bluntly as she sat down next to him. I just didn't think you guys would want to sit with me after I practically intruded into the class and the dorm, Izuku stated. Why wouldn't we want to sit with our classmate? Jiro asked. Well, you guys are different from where I used to live. Even after 12 years there, they still haven't accepted me, Izuku stated. Why did you stay there so long then? Iida asked. It's not like I had any choice. I was born here in Japan, however my mother got killed in a villain attack and I was sent to an island on the ocean. No one accepted me because they believed the villains would be coming after me to the island, Izuku stated. That's horrible, Azui stated. Well, I don't blame M. My friend and I left the island just yesterday. The island has been taken over by villains, and my friend's father got taken away, Izuku explained as he gritted his teeth. Now I remember, weren't you the boy that got rushed into UA yesterday? Iida asked. I am, but how do you know? Izuku asked. I was about to go see my brother and my family. I saw a student with you on his back. However, you were wounded pretty badly, Iida explained. Yeah, I tried saving my friend's father and sustained those wounds trying to protect him. When we got here, we got attacked by the same villains that killed my mother. We were saved by students from here named Mirio, Tamaki and Nijire. After that, Principal Nizu asked us if we wanted to stay, Izuku explained. I see. Well, I know I don't think of you differently after hearing that. You are still our classmate, Iida stated with a smile. Iida is right, Uraraka stated as the others nodded Oswell. Thanks guys, I'm glad to hear that. I just hope my friend will be taken in as warmly as I am now, Izuku stated. Talking about your friend, he or she will be joining a room with you, right? Can you tell us about that person? Iida asked. Well, I could, but that wouldn't be any fun. I'd like you all to meet my friend in person before I explain anything. However, I will say one thing, and I hope this doesn't change things because my friend has been bullied because of it, but the person is quirkless, but is joining the classes for scientists, Izuku explained. Quirkless people are still people, and since your friend will be living with us in our dorm, then that person will be one of us, Oswell, and if someone bullies him or her, then we'll all stand for that person and defend him or her, Momo stated. Thanks guys, I'm really happy to hear that, Izuku said as he signed. He'd wished he could see Melissa now, however he learned that she has a different schedule as him as well as other break times, however their classes will both end at the same time. Izuku and his classmates went back to class as it all went smoothly. Izuku caught up with the others with extreme ease, and class was over before he knew it. Izuku then walked outside of the class as he and 𝗧𝗏 met up with Melissa, who was waiting in front of her class for them. She looked around, then when she saw Izuku she had a bright smile on her face and ran towards them. Hey Izuku! She yelled excitedly. Hey Melissa, good to see you again, even if we saw each other this morning, Izuku stated. I feel the same, she stated happily. 𝗧𝗏 then showed them the way to the dorms. Once there, everyone sat in the common area except for 𝗵𝘃𝗁. All of Izuku's classmates were looking surprised and shocked to see Izuku's friend was a girl, and a very beautiful one too. Minato was almost crying BLD from jealousy when he got a smack from Azui's tongue. 𝗧𝗏 showed them their room. There was a big bed, a sleeping couch, basically a couch but the lowest part can stretched out from underneath the couch created a bed, might Oswell explain for people who might not know about it, and a desk. There was also a closet and instead of a balcony, they had a private bathroom. We didn't know if you wanted to share a bed or not, so we gave you a sleeping couch and a big bed. If you rather have separate beds we can arrange that too. The big bed will be changed to a bit smaller and the couch will be for a bed, Oswell. You'll have a small private bathroom. Some of our students, 𝗵𝗃 are real perverts. This way you can keep your privacy, especially after what you two went through, 𝗧𝗏 stated. "Thank you very much, sir," Izuku said as he and Melissa bowed to him. "Just make yourselves at home and enjoy your time here," 𝗧𝗏 said as he walked downstairs together with Izuku and Melissa. "Alright guys, you all know Izuku is joining us. The friend he talked about is this girl," 𝗧𝗏 stated. "Hi guys, my name is Melissa," she stated. "Welcome to the dorm, Melissa," Kirishima stated happily as everyone else welcomed her as well. Bakugo had made it to the common area as well. "So the blonde bimbo is staying here as well, huh?" Bakugo stated. "Can you for once just shut up?" 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗁𝗃 stated. "You wanna die?" Bakugo asked as Kaminari then stayed silent. "Thought so," Bakugo then said. "So Melissa, how come you aren't joining our class?" Mina asked. "Well, actually I would love to if I could, however, I'm quirkless, and so I decided to help indirectly," she stated as she winked at Izuku, who smiled at her. "So I'm aiming to become a scientist and invent all sorts of gear and items," she explained. "Anyone care to explain why a quirkless trash is staying in our dorm?" "She doesn't belong here," Bakugo stated. Some of the students wanted to turn around, however felt a lot of heat coming from Izuku. "Say Bakugo, if you've got a problem, why don't you tell it in our faces instead of hiding over there," Izuku said. "I'm not hiding for anyone," Bakugo said as he walked towards Izuku. "I asked what quirkless trash is doing here and that she doesn't belong here," Bakugo stated. "Melissa isn't useless, she makes incredible gear. She made a glove that supports the arm which could even hold All Might's power. She made defensive braces which can block even steel, quirks and blades. She's even working on something even better. Honestly, the gear she makes can make sure even a 6-year-old can beat you, so maybe show a little more respect. She may be quirkless, but that doesn't make her less than anyone else in this room," Izuku stated. "Yeah right, hey you?" Bakugo stated towards Melissa, who looked a bit sad. "If you know what's good for you, you'll leave now," Bakugo stated as he turned around, however was grabbed by the shoulder. "Maybe you should watch out what you're saying and to who you are talking like that. I tolerate much, but not such disrespect towards her, especially not because of her being quirkless," Izuku stated. "Get your hand off of me before you get hurt," Bakugo stated. "Before I get hurt? That's cute. Just so you know, I was going easy on you yesterday because I hadn't recovered yet, but if you still want to have a go, then I'll gladly accept. Just now, this time I won't be holding back, and trust me, I can even make big shots like you seem defenseless," Izuku stated as flames started to swirl around him as he looked at Bakugo in anger. Bakugo was starting to sweat around his face. He knew Izuku wasn't messing around. 𝗧𝗏 wanted to stop it, however if he did, then Bakugo would keep acting like that towards Izuku and Melissa. "Fine, let's fight for real this time. If I win, you two leave immediately," Bakugo stated. "If I win, you'll apologize to Melissa, and you'll show us more respect," Izuku stated. "Fine, but you won't win," Bakugo stated. "Are you sure?" Melissa asked Izuku. "Don't worry, I really was holding back yesterday," Izuku said with a smile towards her. Everyone joined them outside. 𝗧𝗏 came as well to stop it if they went too far. "So, you ready to pack your bags and leave this place?" Bakugo asked. "Don't talk so big, it's only going to make you look weak," Izuku answered. Bakugo then got ready. Izuku's flames swirled up as he used his flaming beast to create a lion. All his classmates were surprised by it. The lion then charged towards Bakugo. He threw his explosions, however the lion dodged, and within seconds the lion reached him and bites him in the shoulder. The flames then surrounded Bakugo, creating an explosion. "So that's what the move does," 𝗧𝗏 said silently as only Melissa heard him. She was surprised as well. She knew about the move but didn't know what would happen if it actually reached the target. Bakugo shot up from the explosion as he launched himself with his howitzer towards Izuku, however Izuku countered as he made a fire tornado towards Bakugo. The fire tornado shot Bakugo back as he shot more explosions while flying backwards. "You're not the only one that can use his quirk to make blasts," Izuku stated from behind Bakugo. Bakugo quickly turned around but saw a hand in front of his chest as Izuku fired a strong blast of fire, sending him flying. Izuku then shot a fireball to the sky. "Meteor shower," he said as the fireball exploded and flames like meteorites shot towards Bakugo, crashing right into him. Bakugo laid in the ground as he was bruised all over. He couldn't even get up anymore. "Alright, I think that's enough," 𝗧𝗏 stated. "Izuku has won this fight, so Bakugo, I expect you to behave towards them from now on," 𝗧𝗏 stated. Like hell I will. I'm not defeated yet, he shouted as he forced himself up. I won't hit him, Izuku whispered to Aizawa as he held up his hand. Aizawa wondered what he meant as he then suddenly saw a blast of fire forming in front of Izuku's hand. It's not like a fireball, which is a round ball made up of fire. This is just an actual flame that gets bigger. It's sort of a ball, but still different. Best way to explain it is how 𝗬𝗍 shoots his flames. However, Izuku can keep it in place before firing and store more power in it. That's the best I can explain it, sorry. The blast of fire grew bigger and bigger. You still want to keep this up? You can barely stand, let alone fight. If you want to fight, then so be it, but I'll use full power to beat you, so I'd suggest you choose wisely, Izuku stated. Everyone was shocked by the amount of power Izuku placed in the attack. 𝗧𝗵𝗃, fine, you win, 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 hissed. Izuku then undid his flames as the blast disappeared. You know the deal, if I win, you'll apologize to Melissa, and you show us more respect, so no more hateful comments towards her, and especially not about her being quirkless? Izuku stated. Fine, 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 stated as he walked to Melissa. I'm sorry, alright, 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 said silently as only she and Izuku heard it. Apology accepted, just don't let it happen again. She said angrily. Yeah, I know the deal, 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 stated. We don't have to be best buddies or anything, but you have to be more respectful, Izuku stated. 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 shrugged it off and walked slowly back to the dorm to go to his room. All the other classmates walked towards Izuku and Melissa. Everyone was very excited except for Todoroki, who was being distant. However, he joined in when everyone suddenly yelled, "Welcome to Class 1A's dorm, Izuku and Melissa." After Izuku's fight with 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 again, everyone welcomed Izuku and Melissa to the dorm. They walked back to the dorm and sat with everyone else. So Izuku, how did you and Melissa meet each other anyway? Kaminari asked. Izuku looked at Melissa as she looked back. Well, I was already 1 year on the island and I was in the same class as Melissa, even though she never saw me before when we first spoke. When she walked into the class that day, I noticed she was acting a bit off. During lunch break she got bullied because she was quirkless and she ran away. I followed her and we talked a lot. That's when we started becoming friends, Izuku stated. So are you two just friends or more? Mina asked with a teasing grin. I'd wish we were more, they both thought. No, we're just friends, they both said in unison. However, everyone could see something in both as if they wanted it to be more. They noticed they liked each other, but they didn't know that about each other. They talked some more before everyone then slowly went to bed for class next day. So, what did you think? Izuku asked as he laid in bed next to Melissa. Think about what? Melissa asked. You know the class, and 𝗬𝗍𝗍 said. And how was your class anyway? Izuku asked. Well, I must say, 𝗬𝗍𝗍 is pretty good. They might not be as good as the academy at I-Island, but they are pretty close. As for your class, they are all nice people except for that 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁. He's a JRK, Melissa stated as Izuku laughed. And my class, well, at first everyone was a bit held back because of me being quirkless, but when they found out what I had invented so far in my recent idea, they all were amazed and everyone then accepted me right away. Especially a girl named 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗁. She was on about how my babies were amazing. It's a pretty weird way to name inventions, she explained. But she's pretty nice, and smart too, although her inventions usually explode, she added. Sounds like a great class, Izuku stated. Yeah, they accepted me more than the academy at I-Island. There I was always the quirkless girl, but here I'm actually Melissa, she said. I get what you mean, they accepted me straight away, Oswell. Something that didn't happen for 12 years on I-Island, Izuku stated. Well, I'm glad to hear it, Melissa stated. We should probably go to sleep, we've got more classes tomorrow, she stated. You're right, and Melissa? Izuku said. Yeah. Thanks for the hero suit, it's really amazing, Izuku said with a smile before they both went to sleep. The next morning, Izuku woke up first. However, when he opened his eyes, he saw Melissa. However, she wasn't laying next to him anymore, she was laying half on top of him. She had her arm and leg over his body, and her head laid on his shoulder. Did she do this when she was still awake? Or did she do this in her sleep? Izuku thought. Even though Izuku didn't know how it happened, he didn't dislike it. He actually liked having her so close like that. He felt warm, and he still felt comfortable with her like that, but he also felt his love for her warming up again. Oswell. Izuku really liked it. However, he had to end the moment and wake her up, otherwise they would be late for school. Hey Melissa. It's time to wake up, Izuku said as he placed a hand on her shoulder and shook her awake. Just a few minutes, she said as her hand went to his neck and she held him tightly. We can't. If we don't get up we'll be late for school, and on our second day as well, Izuku stated as she opened her eyes. When she noticed she was laying on top of him, she turned bright red. Oh my god, Izuku, I'm so sorry, she quickly stated as she shot back to her own spot. It's alright, I didn't mind, you seemed very comfortable like that, and if it helps you sleep any better then that's good, Izuku stated with a sweet smile. I love him so much, I wish I could tell him, but what if he rejects me because I'm quirkless? No way, he won't ever do that because I'm quirkless. We became friends the moment I heard I was quirkless, but what if he does reject me because he doesn't love me as well? What would happen to us? And our friendship, she thought. Still, it felt great sleeping with him like that, and he said he didn't mind. Should I try it again tonight? She thought. You still there? Izuku asked as he looked at her curiously. She was still blushing madly as well as spacing out, thinking. Yais. Thanks for waking me up, and again I'm sorry, she quickly stated. Don't worry, if it makes you feel comfortable then I don't mind, Izuku repeated with a smile. They both got up, washed themselves, put their school uniforms on and walked downstairs. They grabbed some breakfast and walked to school together. Once they had to split up, they wished each other good luck in their classes and walked off. Izuku walked into his class, and like the day before, there was chaos all over. The girls were talking in a big group, 𝗵𝗃 and Kaminari were drooling towards them, 𝗵𝗃𝗁 was shouting at people to shut up, but then everyone looked towards Izuku. Good morning, Izuku, the girls and some of the guys except 𝗵𝗃𝗁 and Todoroki said. Morning everyone, Izuku stated as he walked to his seat. Tell me, 𝗵𝗃𝗁 suddenly stated. You lived here before? 𝗵𝗃𝗁 asked. I did what? Izuku asked. It's vague, however I remember an Izuku from my childhood. He was 4 when he disappeared, 𝗵𝗃𝗁 stated. You said your mother was killed by villains, right? He asked. Yes, that's right, Izuku answered. What was her name? 𝗵𝗃𝗁 asked as this took everyone's attention. 𝗵𝗃𝗁 Midoriya, Izuku said as 𝗵𝗃𝗁's eyes slightly widened. I see, then you really are the Izuku I knew from childhood, 𝗵𝗃𝗁 stated. So Auntie 𝗵𝗃𝗁 died, 𝗵𝗃𝗁 said as he leaned backwards with his chair as he looked towards the ceiling. Sadly she did. I managed to get away thanks to her, but she died, Izuku said. I never thought you were the same 𝗵𝗃𝗁 from back then, especially not after everything you said to Melissa yesterday, he added. Well, people always said I got too arrogant after I got my quirks, 𝗵𝗃𝗁 said. Well, I don't blame em, you acted like a bully, and were very arrogant, Izuku stated. Yes, sorry about that, 𝗵𝗃𝗁 stated. Everyone was shocked that 𝗵𝗃𝗁 was holding a conversation that didn't involve swearing, and he even apologized for real. Then Aizawa walked in. Alright everyone, to your seats, class is about to start, he stated. Everyone quickly sat back on their seats as Aizawa stood behind his desk. So as everyone except for Izuku might know, we'll be having a disaster training today. You are allowed to use your hero suits, but if you don't want to, that's fine as well, Aizawa explained. Everyone cheered as they all grabbed their suitcases and they all went to change into their hero suits. Izuku didn't have to take a suitcase as he had his own hero suit always with him. Hey Izuku, don't you have a suitcase? Or is it because you don't have a hero costume yet? Kirishima asked. I do have a hero suit in here, Izuku stated as he held a small capsule in his hand. That must be a tiny hero suit then, 𝗵𝗃𝗁 stated. Izuku then clicked a button as the capsule expanded. He opened it up and took his hero suit out while everyone was looking at it surprised. Wow, where did you get this? Kirishima asked. Melissa made this, she made a few of them. She also made my hero suit, Izuku explained. That's actually pretty impressive, Ojiro stated as he looked at it. Everyone then changed into their hero suits. They all loved the design of his hero suit. Not gonna lie, it looks pretty good, 𝗵𝗃𝗁 even stated. 𝗵𝗃𝗁, 𝗧𝗏 and Kaminari were teasing 𝗵𝗃𝗁 because he said something like that as 𝗵𝗃𝗁 then began shouting and swearing again. They walked outside. The girls were already done. Izuku saw some cool hero suits already from the boys, but the girls also had some nice costumes. Wow Izuku, your hero suit looks amazing. Mina shouted. For real? Uraraka stated. Who designed this? It looks great. Momo stated. Well, Melissa made it for me back on the island. She wanted to give this to me as a present for when I would start joining hero classes and work, Izuku explained. Alright, now that you've gave your praises about the suit, let's go otherwise we'll be late, 𝗧𝗏 stated. Everyone quickly got on the bus as it drove to their destination. I gotta say, your hero costume really fits you well, especially with the colors, since you use fire, 𝗬𝗓𝗍 stated. Thanks, yours 𝗧𝗏 with your frog power, Izuku stated with a smile as she smiled back. Kaminari was teasing Bakugo, who was about to blow the life out of Kaminari but managed to stay on his seat. After a while they arrived at a dome-like building. Alright, we have arrived, 𝗧𝗏 said as he got off the bus. Everyone got off 𝗧𝗏 and followed him to the building. Hello everyone, I'm Pro Hero 13, I'm the creator of this facility, it's called the Unforeseen Emulation Joint, or USJ for short, she stated. I will be mentoring you today, 𝗧𝗏 together with 𝗧𝗏. All Might should be here, 𝗧𝗏, however he will be later due to some other business, she added in. Hey, you even prepared dummy villains like the entrance exam, Kirishima stated as he pointed towards Central Plaza. Everyone don't move and stay back. Those are real villains, 𝗧𝗏 stated as more villains walked out of a warp gate. I remember that warp gate, Izuku thought. 13, you stay back here and protect the kids. I'll handle those villains, 𝗧𝗏 stated as he jumped down towards the plaza. Izuku took a step forward. Please stay here, 𝗧𝗏 told us he got this, so let's have faith in him, 13 stated as suddenly a villain named 𝗬𝗓𝗍𝗍 appeared behind them. Good day, wannabe heroes, have you seen All Might? He was supposed to be here today, 𝗬𝗓𝗍𝗍 stated. They are after All Might? Kaminari asked. What makes you think you could even stand a chance against the #1 hero? 13 stated as she used her black hole. However, 𝗬𝗓𝗍𝗍 used his warp and 13 was damaged badly by her own quirk. We have our ways to face the symbol of peace, 𝗬𝗓𝗍𝗍 stated. Iida, go back to you and get back up for us? Momo stated. But I can't just leave you all behind, Iida stated. Do it. You have to get back up. This guy is dangerous, and if they think they can beat All Might then someone even more dangerous is here. 13 stated. Go. 13 shouted from on the ground. Iida quickly sprinted to the door as 𝗬𝗓𝗍𝗍 went after him. Izuku quickly charged his flames and shot fire behind Iida to stop 𝗬𝗓𝗍𝗍. So you are here, 𝗧𝗏? Izuku Midoriya, 𝗬𝗓𝗍𝗍 stated as Iida managed to get outside. Tomura Shigaraki will be thrilled to hear that, he said. 𝗬𝗓𝗍𝗍 then suddenly warped 𝗬𝗓𝗍𝗍, Kirishima, Momo and Tokoyami towards the plaza. 𝗧𝗏 noticed this and quickly went to guard them. Now, I have to report this to Tomura Shigaraki. Goodbye, he said as he warped towards the plaza, 𝗧𝗏. Izuku was in rage as intense flames already engulfed his body. Hold him back. He can't charge off there. 13 stated as Kaminari, Bakugo, Ojiro and Siro tried to hold him back. However, since Izuku was using his flames too, they had a hard time keeping him back. Izuku looked downstairs and saw Tokoyami and Kirishima fighting back. 𝗬𝗓𝗍𝗍 and Momo were on guard but felt a bit overwhelmed being surrounded by so many villains. 𝗬𝗓𝗍𝗍 appeared next to Tomura Shigaraki as Tomura then joined the fight. 𝗧𝗏 went to fight him. Tomura was blocking all 𝗧𝗏's attacks. 𝗧𝗏 wanted to finish with an elbow to the face, however this was caught by Tomura. 𝗧𝗏's quirk turned off as he had to blink, and 𝗧𝗏's skin crumbled off of his elbow, hang limply beside his body. Suddenly a dark creature called a Nomu appeared behind 𝗧𝗏 and slammed him on the head to the ground. Izuku was having more trouble to stay back as the Nomu broke 𝗧𝗏's other arm like a little stick. 13 saw Shigaraki appear in front of 𝗬𝗓𝗍𝗍 and was about to grab her face. She remembered how 𝗧𝗏's elbow crumbled. Go! She shouted to Izuku as the students holding him back jumped away. Izuku immediately shot down with a lot of force as he kicked Tomura in the face just a second before he was about to grab 𝗬𝗍𝗍's face. Momo held 𝗬𝗍𝗍, who was in a bit of a shock after what happened, and how she almost died because of the villain his quirk. Kirishima, Tokoyami, grab 𝗧𝗏 and go upstairs. 𝗬𝗍𝗍, Momo, you two too? Izuku stated seriously. But Mr. 𝗧𝗏 is unde, Kirishima stated as Izuku suddenly charged at the Nomu before blowing it away with his flames. Kirishima and Tokoyami quickly grabbed 𝗧𝗏 and brought him upstairs. Once he noticed they were upstairs, Izuku unleashed his power. Flames shot from his body as the whole place seemed like it was burning. 𝗵𝘃𝗧𝗟𝗘 stated as she saw this. Izuku then controlled his flames again as they died away. The 𝗵𝗃 then appeared before him. "Ah, Izuku, it's so nice of you to join us," 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟 stated. "I heard you met 𝗵𝘃𝗧𝗟 again. How was it to see the murderer of your mother?" 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟 stated as this off Izuku even more. "If I were you, I wouldn't provoke me any further. I'm already off enough as it is," Izuku stated. Besides, that kick to the face must have hurt. Izuku provoked 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟 this time. "But don't worry, I'll make sure to take you in after I finish this thing off," Izuku stated as flames engulfed him again. Izuku smashed the 𝗵𝗃 in the jaw with an uppercut as he then jumped above it and punched it to the face, slamming it through the ground. Izuku jumped back a few steps as the 𝗵𝗃 got out of the ground. "Flaming beasts," Izuku stated as he created 2 lions of flames. "He even created 2 of those things?" Bakugo stated, shocked. "Is it that powerful?" 𝗬𝗏 asked. "Not only powerful, it's very fast and can even dodge moves. Once it wraps around the target, the flames engulf the opponent, which creates a big explosion," Bakugo explained as he felt the power of that move himself. The lions charged towards the 𝗵𝗃 in a straight line. They grabbed the 𝗵𝗃 as both of them engulfed him, creating a massive explosion which created a lot of smoke. Once the smoke died down, the 𝗵𝗃 got inside again. However, it was missing its left arm. "Such a wound won't matter to 𝗵𝗃. He can regenerate his arm right back," 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟 stated. However, the arm didn't regenerate. "What's wrong?" "𝗵𝗃. Regenerate already," he shouted. "He can't," 𝗬𝗍𝗪 stated. "Why not?" 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟 asked in panic. "That move. It blew off his arm, and the flames burned the skin away, so he can't regenerate it. The only real way to defeat this 𝗵𝗃 is to slash it to pieces or burn his skin away," 𝗬𝗍𝗪 stated as 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟's eyes widened. "𝗵𝗃, no more holding back. Kill that kid with full power." 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟 shouted as the 𝗵𝗃 immediately appeared in front of Izuku and slammed on him all in the blink of an eye. "Izuku!" some of the students shouted. However, Izuku shot through the smoke without so much as a scratch. Izuku then shot flames in one leg and launched himself to the 𝗵𝗃 as he kneed it in the face. 𝗵𝗃 kept charging at Izuku, however he dodged it easily and countered with his own move until 𝗬𝗍𝗪 pulled a cheap shot. The moment 𝗵𝗃 was about to reach Izuku, a warp opened up as the 𝗵𝗃 was warped through it and appeared in Izuku's back. It smashed him in the back and immediately after slammed on Izuku's head as he fell to the ground. The 𝗵𝗃 grabbed his leg, swinged Izuku around and slammed him into the ground with a lot of force. He kept doing this 5 more times, each time creating a small crater on the ground until he threw Izuku up, jumped after him and slammed him to the ground. "Oh no," Momo stated in fear as she saw it happen. The 𝗵𝗃 then slowly walked towards where Izuku crashed into the ground. "Get up," Bakugo silently said. "Come on, Izuku," Kirishima shouted. "Get up," Jiro shouted. "We know you can beat that thing." Mina, Toru and Ojiro shouted together. The 𝗵𝗃 got to where Izuku laid on the ground, however Izuku was slowly getting up. The 𝗵𝗃 gave a mighty smash towards the ground on Izuku. The students looked in horror as some of them closed their eyes, too afraid to see. However, they quickly opened their eyes after hearing other students gasp. Once they looked towards the fight, they noticed Izuku underneath the fist. However, he hadn't crashed into the ground, he actually stopped the fist. "Sorry, but I can't afford to be killed here. I've still got a lot more people to save, especially someone close to me," Izuku stated as he held his hand on the 𝗵𝗃's right side of the chest and blasted through it with his flames. The 𝗵𝗃 stumbled back as it then fell to a knee. "Well, look at that, seems it does feel pain," Izuku stated. Right at that time, the front door got blown away, and All Might together with other teachers got inside. They noticed Aizawa and 13 badly wounded on the ground. However, the students were looking downstairs. They saw Izuku very badly wounded as well, but also a black creature with a hole in his chest and only one arm. Wildfire, they heard Izuku say as he suddenly disappeared and became a red blur. The 𝗵𝗃 got hit from multiple sides at incredible speed by the red blur, all dealing high damage as Izuku's punches were also burning away the skin from the 𝗵𝗃 as he pushed his power to the max. Eventually Izuku appeared in front of the Nomu with his hands on the ground as he also bended through his knees towards the ground. He was heavily. The Nomu suddenly fell over from all the damage Izuku dealt. After Izuku saw the Nomu fall over, he fell down as well. "It wasn't supposed to be like this, you cursed brat," 𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗧 shouted as he ran towards Izuku. Snipe quickly shot 𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗧's arm, as All Might landed in front of Izuku while 𝗬𝗨𝗱 appeared from underground next to All Might. "We won't let you harm him any further," 𝗬𝗨𝗱 stated. 𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗧 Shigaraki, "We have to retreat for now," Kurogiri stated as used his warp to grab 𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗧 and bring him to safety. "What happened here?" Nizu asked the students as he saw Aizawa and 13 laying on the floor wounded badly, and Izuku in the plaza on the ground. They quickly explained everything that had happened. Meanwhile, All Might had brought Izuku upstairs, and they saw his wounds from up close. He was bleeding from his head again as almost his entire face was covered in blood. He had cuts over his arms, as well as on his back as his hero suit was ripped from the back by slamming into the floor. He had a lot of bruises that had already even turned purple, but they also noticed a scar on his back which they thought must have been from an earlier attack at that island. Izuku's body just hung limply in All Might's arms. "Is he still alive?" Azui asked with tears in her eyes, fearing the worst. "He is, but he's very weak. I'm going to take him to Recovery Girl to heal," All Might stated as he shot out of the door with Izuku. Aizawa and 13 were taken to the hospital. Meanwhile, the other teachers and the students went back to UA. Once there, they saw Melissa waiting there a bit unsettled. "Are you guys alright? We suddenly had Iida come to our class asking 𝗬𝗨𝗱𝗚 to come because of an emergency," Melissa stated. "And where is Izuku?" she asked looking around. "If you mean the green-haired boy, then he's at Recovery Girl's office," 𝗬𝗨𝗱𝗚 stated as he got off the bus. "He was wounded pretty badly but he saved everyone else," he added as Melissa then quickly ran towards Recovery Girl's office. Azui, Momo, Kirishima and Tokoyami together with Iida followed her towards the office. "I figured you would come. You can come in, but you'll have to promise to be silent and to let him rest," Recovery Girl stated as she stood in front of her office. "We promise," they all said as they walked inside. "I used my quirk on him while giving him some energy boosters. He was in really bad shape. He had a big wound on his head, his skull was cracked, his ribs were broken as well as his hip. He also had internal bleedings and his spine wasn't in good shape either," she explained as they all gasped and feared the worst. "Luckily, I could heal all his wounds. He should be fine now after a lot of rest, but I wonder what could have created such wounds," she said. "There was a black creature, they called it a Nomu. Apparently it was created to kill All Might. They were pretty confident about it," Kirishima explained. He saved my life. The leader of those villains, he touched Aizawa's elbow and some of the skin crumbled away. It stopped because Aizawa erased his quirk. He was about to grab my face. If Izuku hadn't made it in the last second," Azui stated as tears started streaming after the fearsome encounter. Melissa and Momo hugged her to comfort her. Melissa then walked towards Izuku and sat on the edge of the bed while placing her hand on his. "I really hope you'll wake up soon," she stated as she grabbed his hand. At first it felt weakly until Izuku softly grabbed her hand back in his sleep. She smiled because of it. "As reckless as ever, how many times do you want to make me worried?" she asked softly. "Still he saved us all," Tokoyami stated as Uraraka, Jiro, Mina, Kaminari, Ojiro, Sato and Shoji walked in as well. "Maybe if I hadn't ran off, then I would have been able to help him," Iida stated. "Don't fool yourself," Tokoyami stated. "There was nothing we could have done. That thing was way out of our league," Ojiro stated. "It's impressive enough as it is that Izuku was able to fight it," Mina stated a bit worriedly. Izuku groaned a bit as he then slowly opened his eyes. "Where am I?" he asked. "Izuku." Melissa suddenly yelled as she hugged him. "Will you ever stop worrying me?" she asked. "I'm sorry, Melissa, but I had to face it eventually and I just couldn't stay back any longer. Besides, if I hadn't stepped in, Azui and Aizawa would have been killed, and probably the others too," Izuku stated. "I'm not angry, I know how you are, and I know heroes risk their life. I'm just worried but glad you're back alive," she stated. Izuku hugged her back. "Well, I'd rather not fight that thing again, so next time a Nomu that powerful comes, someone else can fight it," Izuku joked, making everyone laugh. "Still, that last move of yours looked amazing," You just became a red blur and left lines of fire as you striked that 𝗵𝗼𝗄 with immense speed, 𝗵𝗃𝗃 stated. Yeah, he's right, compared to other moves we've seen from you, that's by far the strongest we saw. It was like you flaming beast, but it's like you became the beast itself, 𝗔𝗨𝗧𝗟𝗘 stated. Yeah, it's a move I keep as my ace. If I feel like I'm losing consciousness, or I know I'm losing, I can use that move. It gives me a lot of speed and power, however it really drains a lot of energy, but it gives me a sudden burst of power as long as the move lasts. That's why I keep it as my ace, Izuku stated. That's really impressive, 𝗍𝗓 stated as he suddenly showed up. We walked in when you unleashed that move. I have to say I'm impressed, he added in. Thank you, sir, Izuku said, smiling. Well, if you are feeling well enough, you're allowed to leave my office. You should be healed enough, Recovery Girl stated. Thanks, Recovery Girl, Izuku stated. And Iida, thanks for bringing the teachers. I noticed you coming in just before I unleashed my move. If you hadn't brought them, I would have been defenseless against the other two, Izuku stated as Iida then smiled. Thank you for helping me escape, Iida said as they fist bumped. Izuku then walked towards the dorm, took a shower and changed into normal clothes. Melissa had taken his hero suit so she could repair the ripped parts and wash it. Melissa then introduced Izuku to 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗵𝗲, who became a friend of Melissa already. Mei was mostly interested in her inventions, but eventually when she noticed Melissa and Izuku kept listening to her stories about her inventions, she calmed down and also showed interest in them, as well as Izuku's quirk but also their lives itself. This wasn't normally anything like Mei, but then again she never really had any real friends, only for inventions. After a while Izuku and Melissa had to go back to the dorm and ate dinner with the others. Everyone was glad that Izuku had healed and that they were all safe. Azui had a few throwbacks that day to what happened and was a bit upset, but everyone cheered her up. They also heard Aizawa and 13 were doing good as well. Eventually they all went to bed. Even though the next day would be the start of the weekend, everyone was tired and just wanted to sleep. Izuku and Melissa laid in bed again. Hey Izuku, she asked. What is it? Izuku asked with his eyes closed. Is it alright if I lay close to you or against you? It felt really comfortable this morning, and it felt really nice, she stated, blushing madly by what she said. However, she still wanted to give it a try. Sure, I actually liked it a bit as well. I just didn't have the guts to tell you that, Izuku stated. Ah, how cute, she teased him. Says the person blushing madly, Izuku teased back. Melissa then crawled towards him as she laid one of her legs over one of his. She placed her arm on his stomach with her hand on his chest, and her head on his shoulder again. Good night, Melissa, Izuku said as he placed the arm from the shoulder she laid on around her. Good night, Izuku, she said as she slowly fell asleep. However, before she fell asleep, she had one last thought. I'm going to give it a try soon and tell him how I feel. I just have to tell him. She thought as she gave him one last glance. I love you, Izuku, she thought as she then fell asleep. A few days had passed. Izuku had completely recovered. Recovery Girl had already completely healed his wounds. However, Izuku felt sore for a few days, and moving around was a bit hard, but now Izuku had completely healed. It was a normal school day, and Izuku woke up early with Melissa on top of him again as she caught his leg with hers. Her arm was still on top of him with her hand on his chest. However, instead of her head on his shoulder, her head was on his chest. Man, I wish I had the guts to tell her how I feel about her, but if she doesn't feel the same, everything will become so awkward, and it might destroy our friendship, Izuku thought as he sighed. Melissa woke up and heard him sigh. Good morning, Izuku. Something wrong? She asked. Nothing is wrong. Why do you ask? He asked. I heard you sigh. I thought something might have been going on. Melissa said. No, it's all right, Izuku stated as they then got up to get ready for school. They both grabbed some breakfast and walked to school. Melissa looked at Izuku, and every time she did, she noticed a bit of sadness in Izuku's face, like something was bothering him. Is really nothing wrong? She suddenly asked. Izuku looked towards her a bit surprised but then gave a smile. No, nothing is wrong, don't worry, she answered. Melissa placed her worries about it to the back of her head. She would ask some of his classmates later if they knew anything. They kept on walking until they each had to go a different way. Izuku got to his class pretty quickly. Most of the students were already there and greeted him as he greeted them back. All right, kids, back to your seats, Aizawa stated as he got to his desk and everyone went to their seats. All right, so I've got an announcement to make, he started. Tomorrow you'll all be participating in the sports festival together with all the other first years, Izuku stated as most students began to cheer. Would you all just shut up and let me finish? Izuku hissed as everyone then became quiet. You'll have to give it your all and go beyond your limits. Many pros and agencies will be watching the sports festival, so this will be the perfect opportunity for you to show everyone what you are capable of, Izuku added. That's all about the sports festival. Now let's start today's lesson, he stated. The day passed rather quickly. Izuku was barely able to concentrate on the lessons as he was mostly thinking of the sports festival, but also about Melissa. He has been thinking about her during classes a lot lately. At first, it was more about how she was doing, but now it really was more about her smile and how she is. Izuku really loved her. Man, I don't know if I'll ever be able to tell her, Izuku said silently to himself. Say what to who? Momo suddenly asked from besides him. They were still in the class as Bakugo, Mineta, Todoroki and Kaminari had already left. Oh, It's nothing, Izuku said. Come on, something is definitely bothering you. You can tell us or me, you know. We're classmates and friends, Momo stated with a smile. Well, you see, the thing is, I really like Melissa, and in a way more than friends, but I don't really have the guts to tell her. I'm just afraid she doesn't feel the same, and it'll destroy our friendship as everything becomes awkward and such, she explained. Really? That's what you are troubled about? Momo asked, a bit surprised. You shouldn't worry about that. I'm sure she likes you too, Momo stated with a smile as she walked off to the other girls. I forgot to tell her to not tell the others, Izuku thought as he then saw all the girls looking towards him. I'm screwed, he thought as he just grabbed his bag and walked out of the class. Honestly, what was I thinking talking about it like that, Izuku thought. He then went inside a small forest behind the school as there was a spot to train, only a few people knew about. Those few people were also friends of his, Ida and Kirishima. Ida used the place to train his reflexes with his speed as he ran while dodging trees. Kirishima used it to strengthen his quirk as well as his body while it's not hardened. Mostly the three of them trained together there. This time Izuku was all alone. He also didn't come there to train this time. He actually felt a bit embarrassed that he told Momo that he liked Melissa like that, and that she told the girls about it. Meanwhile, Melissa was looking for Izuku. Normally they always walk back to the dorm together, but he wasn't there. She looked for her friends in the dorm as she then found the girls concentrated on a certain topic. Hey girls, have you seen Izuku? He normally walks with me to the dorm, but he's not here and it's not really like him, she stated. The girls looked towards her. Yeah, he talked with Momo then he left, 𝗬𝗏𝗏 stated as Melissa then looked curiously towards Momo. I didn't say anything bad, I just saw he was bothered by something. When I asked him what was wrong he told me then he left after I got back to the girls, she stated. So Melissa, what do you think of Izuku anyways? Mina suddenly asked. Melissa started as she didn't know what to say. Please, you can tell us, Toru started. Alright, I guess I can tell you girls, but don't tell anyone else please, she sighed. Honestly, I really like Izuku, in more than friendship, it's just I don't know if he'll feel the same about me, and I don't want to destroy our friendship, Melissa stated. Wait, you mean you two weren't a couple? Mina asked. No. Melissa answered. Why so surprised? You asked me what I think of him. Melissa stated confused. Well, that was because we thought you were a couple but hiding it, so I thought maybe this would make you tell us, Mina stated as she scratched her head. Honestly, I wish we were, but I don't know if he likes me too, and honestly it makes me feel a bit insecure, but also a bit afraid. I'm afraid that if I wait too long, someone else will take him for herself. However, if I tell him now and he doesn't feel the same, I'm afraid everything will change between us, she explained. From what I've seen, he likes you just as much as you like him, Azui stated. Yes, same here, 𝗬𝗏𝗏 stated. I don't think you have anything to worry about it, Momo stated. Instead of telling him, she added. Why don't you show him how you feel? Maybe give him hints and see how he reacts to it. Momo asked. Well, I've already done something but don't tell anyone else, she quickly added. When we sleep, I lay half on top of him. At first it happened accidentally. I woke up with my head on his shoulder, hand on his chest and my leg over his, but he said he didn't mind and actually liked it. Now we sleep like that almost every time, she stated. That is so cute. Mina shouted the last part. Will you shut up? Toru said to Mina. Has he done anything when you did that? 𝗧𝗫𝗃 asked. Well, recently he started placing his arm around me and held me close, Melissa explained. Girl, trust me, he likes you, Mina stated. I don't know that for sure, Melissa stated. Why don't you push it a little and give him another hint? 𝗬𝗏𝗃 said. Like what? Melissa asked. Well, that's up to you. Maybe a hint that shows him you really like him, but nothing too pushy that will scare him off. Honestly, you should start small and do what you think is good at the time, 𝗬𝗏𝗃 explained. 𝗬𝗏𝗃 is right. If he really likes you, he'll respond to it. Maybe not directly, but after he finally finds out what really happened, 𝗂𝗍𝗍 stated. Alright, I'll give it a try. I don't know when or how, but I will, Melissa said. They all went back to the dorm. Izuku returned later that evening, but he didn't seem like anything was bothering him, so everyone shrugged it off. Izuku apologized for leaving Melissa like that. Well, you'll have to make it up, Melissa teased. Well, I can do that, come with me, he stated as he walked outside as he grabbed her hand. She was surprised but also felt really nice and warm. Where are we going, she asked after a while. I want to show you someone, Izuku stated. Izuku walked towards the dorm for teachers as Aizawa greeted him there. What are you two doing here? Aizawa asked. Izuku then whispered something in Aizawa's ear as he looked at Melissa. I see, I'll get him, Aizawa stated as he walked off. So who is Aizawa going to get? Melissa asked. It's a surprise, Izuku smiled. Suddenly All Might walked through the halls as she looked with wide eyes. I knew 𝗍𝗲𝗍𝗘 invented a lot of All Might, his gear and also his suits, and I knew they were partners, and the other day 𝗬𝗨𝗨 and All Might saved me. I wanted you to meet him. I figured if he was such a good friend of your father you might know him too, Izuku stated with a smile. Uncle Might, she shouted as she ran towards him and hugged him. Melissa! Is that really? All Might asked, as he hugged her back. Yes, it's really mean, she said with tears in her eyes. She got here with me. I've been living on island with her for 12 years, Izuku stated as All Might looked towards him. But if that's the case, then what are the two of you doing here in you? All Might asked. Island has been taken over by villains, Izuku stated as All Might looked shocked. What about, he's been taken by the villains, Izuku stated. Are you certain about that? All Might asked. I tried protecting him. He told me he heard something about Japan, so that's why we came here. I tried to protect and save him, but... Izuku started as Aizawa walked next to All Might. But what? All Might asked. Izuku then took his shirt off and showed his back to All Might as it had a big long scar on his back. I took some heavy damage and also some life-threatening like this one on my back. My chest has a few minor scars as well, however I had a lot more wounds than those, Izuku explained. Melissa hadn't really seen the scars for herself, so she was shocked to see them. She had seen the wounds, but not the scars. Aizawa and All Might were shocked to see the scars, definitely after how he defeated the Nomu that was designed to kill All Might. There were 5 of them. We managed to escape, but they had some rough hits in on me. David told me to escape, get stronger, then try to save him and all of Island, Izuku stated. While protecting him, he thought he would be taken to Japan, so we made it here. However, we haven't found out anything from there, other than that the villains called Kurogiri and Tomura Shigaraki know about me and are after me, Izuku explained. We don't know if he's here, but it's a start to search, but then again he could also still be on Island. We didn't see him get taken away. I got blown through the ground and escaped with Melissa before they had completely taken Island over, Izuku explained as he put on his shirt again. Then again, if he isn't here, then I'll have to finish something else first, Izuku stated. What would that be? Aizawa asked. I'll have to become a hero and capture the villains after me, so they won't be able to send any more villains to Island, and also make sure they won't attack anyone here anymore, Izuku explained. I know Tomura Shigaraki and Kurogiri are after me. However, from Tomura's behavior I noticed he couldn't be the mastermind behind all this, and Kurogiri was obeying Tomura like he was underneath him. I have a feeling that someone else is behind this. And I have a feeling that I know who it is, Izuku stated. You figured that out after just the USJ? Aizawa asked, surprised. I did, but mostly after another event, and the reason they are after me, Izuku stated. What event? And what reason? All Might asked. All Might, I know about your fight with All for One, Izuku stated. But how did you? All Might asked, shocked. I learned about it on the island. I suspect those were people under All for One who had already snuck in. At the time I was wondering how they knew about it. Maybe it had been on TV or something I didn't know since I didn't watch TV, however I never really suspected them to be villains. Izuku explained. The other reason I think that he's the leader is because they are after my quirk, and rumor has it that All for One can take people's quirks, Izuku stated seriously. I see. So All for One is actually the leader of Shigaraki then? All Might asked. Well, I don't know for sure, it's just a theory, Izuku stated. But if he is, it would all make a lot more sense. They want to kill you, with a creature that has multiple quirks, and they are after me for my quirk. Now a lot of villains want to kill heroes, but let's be honest, none of them could really make something with multiple quirks like that, Izuku stated. Wait, when did you find out about that on Island? We were together most of the time, apart from you training and me with the 𝗵𝗃 Melissa stated shocked. I went outside a few nights, I found about it by accident as I was going around the city, I overheard them talk, I also know who the traitor is, Izuku explained. Wait, a traitor? Melissa stated. Someone from the inside had to help them to get in, and I know who it was, however it's better not to reveal that yet, Izuku stated. Still, it's impressive you found all of this out on your own, All Might stated. Well, Tomura knew about 𝗵𝘃𝗧𝗍, the person that killed my mother and was after me for my quirk, the warp gates from Kurogiri helped them 𝗬𝗏, so I linked those. Tomura is acting like a child, so he couldn't possibly made those plans by himself, so that means someone is above him, and since that person wanted to kill All Might with a creature with 2 quirks, and wanted my quirk, it all made sense to me, Izuku explained. Still, how are we going to deal with this? All Might asked. Not only do we have to face All for One, but we also have to free Island, All Might stated. We can fight All for One together. As for Island, I'll handle that myself, Izuku stated. How are you going to handle it yourself? The island doesn't even accept you, and you only barely escaped alive last time. Melissa stated. I'll just have to get a lot stronger before going back there, then I'll make sure to take Island back from them, Izuku stated. Not without us you don't. Izuku heard from behind him. As he turned around he saw Class 1A. Sorry we heard everything, you suddenly walked off after being away for the whole day, so we followed you and heard and also saw everything, Momo stated. We're not going to let you fight a battle for an island alone. We're your friends, so we'll join you, Azui stated. You've risked your life to protect all of us. The least we can do is help you with the island, Tokoyami stated. Tokoyami is right, if it wasn't for you, that Nomu would have killed everyone, and besides we're all living together, right? We're friends, classmates, but also family, and they stick together and help each other. Ojiro stated. You guys sure? Those villains aren't pushovers, I only saw 4 of them, they were pretty powerful, I'm not saying we can't beat them, but we don't even know how many there really are, or even how strong the others are, and they have the security from the island on their side so they could close us in and gang up on us, Izuku stated. We don't care. You helped us, so we'll help you. Mina stated with a smile. And if you don't know how many there really are, Toru stated. Then it's all the more reason for us to come, 𝗬𝗏 stated. Thanks you guys, Izuku and Melissa stated. Still, that's a nasty scar you got there, mind telling me who did that to you? Aizawa asked. Their leader, he managed to control metal from his surroundings, it's extremely powerful, but I think I can take him, especially if I power up more. So far I only saw 3 others, one of them is very fast and uses his quirk to displace things, even my flames, then there is one who turns into a brute and becomes extremely powerful, even though he's big and looks clumsy, he's still fast and also has fast reflexes. The last one turns his arm into metal like swords, he can stab it into the ground which then shoots up even more of those swords from the ground. 𝗨𝗏, I don't know how he does it, Izuku explained. Honestly, hearing that makes me think you're lucky to even leave that place with only those scars, Aizawa stated. Well, my speed helped a lot, and my power isn't weak either, but I'll become much stronger, Izuku stated. After that, everyone talked some more as Melissa caught up with All Might on what happened those past years. She even showed him what she created so far, as well as telling him she created Izuku's hero suit, which really impressed him. Afterwards, everyone went back to their dorms. It was already late, and since the next day would be the sports festival, they all decided to go to bed. Once in the room, Izuku and Melissa took turns changing. Izuku felt more comfortable sleeping in just instead of a shirt as well, and since he showed his scars now, it wouldn't be a problem anymore. However, when he got out of the bathroom, he saw Melissa standing in the middle of the room waiting for him with her arms behind her back and a smile on her face. She then launched towards him and hugged him. "Thank you," she said as Izuku hugged her back. He knew she meant about making her see all might and such, as well as getting stronger to save her father and island. After the hug they went to bed. However, the night flew by like it was just blinking. They already had to get up. However, this time, Izuku felt something different than how he usually felt while waking up. He looked towards Melissa. However, she sat on top of him with a smile. "Good morning, sleepyhead," she stated as she then hugged him again with a smile. "Well, that's a way to wake up." Izuku laughed as he hugged her back. "Good morning, Melissa," she added. "You didn't like me waking you up like this?" she asked curiously. "Oh, I did. I really liked it. That's what I meant actually," Izuku stated with a smile. "Well, we have to get up. Today is the time for the sports festival," she stated. "Oh right, I forgot all the first years were in it," Izuku stated as he quickly got up when Melissa got off of him. They quickly washed themselves, brushed their teeth, put their clothes on, grabbed breakfast and left for the sports festival. Once there, the place was already crowded with people, as well as pro heroes. "Good morning, you two," they heard a familiar voice say. "Mirio," Izuku said excitedly. "How has it been, Izuku? Haven't seen each other in a while. I heard about the USJ attack. Hope you're doing well now," he stated. "Yeah, we're doing well. Hope you guys are doing too." "And yeah, I'm fine now," Izuku stated. "We're doing fine too, but you should go in. We'll be watching the sports festival and we'll root for you too," Mirio stated. "Thanks, Mirio," Izuku said as he grabbed Melissa's hand again and ran inside. They quickly ran towards the changing rooms and changed into gym clothes. Once they had it on, they quickly ran towards the field where everyone slowly got together. Once they got there, Midnight stood on top of a stage with a microphone. "All right, ladies and gentlemen, are you all ready for this year's sports festival?" Midnight asked through the mic as everyone started to cheer loudly. "This is crazy, so many people are hyped for this?" Melissa stated, shocked. "All right then, it seems everyone is hyped enough and the students are all ready to go," she stated. All the students were then being brought towards a big door. "We'll start today with a race. There will be 3 obstacles. Let's see how the students get past them and who will make it back here," Midnight shouted. "The first 20 students that make it through first will go towards the next round," she added. "Ready and go," she shouted as the door opened up. Izuku immediately charged his flames and flew over the students. He noticed Todoroki freezing everyone behind him. However, some of the students managed to get through. "Would you look at that?" Mike suddenly shouted. Izuku flew right over all the students, and Todoroki just froze everyone behind him. "Those two are really on fire right from the start," Mike shouted. "Maybe you should explain that you'll do play-by-play before you start shouting," they heard Izawa say. "Right, what Izawa said, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's get back to the race," Mike shouted. Izuku has taken the lead, however Todoroki and Bakugo are close behind him, as well as a group of other students, he added. Izuku landed on the floor and was running covered in flames as it seemed like the flames were pushing him. Todoroki made a field of ice as he pushed himself forward with fire. Bakugo used his explosion to fly forward. Izuku, Todoroki and Bakugo are all fighting for first place. Mike shouted as everyone in the arena had a big orb-like screen where they could all see the race. The first obstacle came in sight as giant robots tried attacking Izuku, however he dodged it with incredible speed as he jumped up. He then ran over the arm and blasted the head off before using the robot's back as a springboard to launch himself forward. Did you all just see that? Izuku managed to dodge that punch, ran on top of the robot, destroy it and keep moving forward without losing speed. Mix shouted. Izuku noticed Todoroki just freezing the robots as Bakugo blew them up. Izuku kept running as he then saw a giant pit with ropes to cross over. He sped up even more and jumped over it. He could hear the crowd cheering even from on the tracks. "You won't win, Izuku." He heard Bakugo shout from behind him. "He can keep up with me at this speed with his explosions. He must be constantly using pretty powerful blasts. It's pretty incredible how he can keep doing that," Izuku thought as he then saw Todoroki gliding over ice with his flames as a boost. "I have to say, you guys are pretty impressive," Izuku stated towards them. But that won't beat my speed, Izuku said as he suddenly stopped and took a beastly stance. Wildly charged, Izuku stated as claws of flames formed around his hands and feet. He then charged forward at an even greater speed, leaving everyone in shock. Suddenly Izuku saw a minefield, however instead of stopping he ran right through it, leaving a trail of explosions behind him as he charged right through. What kind of monster is that Izuku? First he runs like a wild beast, now he runs even faster than the explosions are being set off. Mike shouted as Izuku then arrived into the stadium with everyone loudly cheering. Shortly after Todoroki and Bakugo made it in at the exact same time. Then all the other students got inside. Alright ladies and gentlemen, we've got our 20 students for the next event. Midnight shouted. The people that made it are Izuku, Bakugo, Todoroki, Kirishima, Kendo, Momo, Azui, Urarikida, Manama, Shinso, Tokoyami Ojiro, Shoryubu, Tetsutetsu, Yui Pony, Sato, Kaminari, Mina. Everyone else may go now. As for the students that made it, we'll give everyone a bit of a rest because the next event might be hell for some of you. Midnight stated in a stuck but exciting tone as if she loved what was going to happen. Izuku saw Melissa and walked towards her. Man, you guys are amazing, she stated. Well, you almost made it. You came in as number 21. That's really impressive. No offense, but beating so many people while being quirkless is impressive, Izuku stated. I'm proud of you, Izuku stated. Well, if Todoroki hadn't used that ice at the start, I would have made it in. I made those enhancers on the shoes which basically makes me float and glide over the floor at incredible speed, she stated as she showed it. Wow, that's really impressive, Izuku stated amazed. They walked off the field like the others and decided to sit together. Well, I'm going to sit with the others once the next event starts, she stated. Yeah, still you were impressive, Izuku said. If you want to talk about impressive, what was with that about you running like a wild animal? She asked laughing. It's my wildly charge. It makes me engulf my hands and feet in flames that create claws. Every step I make the claws push me forward with a lot of force and speed. However, while I'm like that I can't attack, only dodge. That's why I haven't used it before, Izuku stated. All contestants to the field please. They heard Midnight say through the microphone. Well, time to go. I'll show you sometimes, Izuku said as he stood up and walked towards the field. Suddenly he felt his hand being grabbed as he was being pulled back. Melissa suddenly kissed his cheek. Good luck, Izuku, she stated with a blush. Izuku smiled and nodded. Thanks, he said before walking off. He didn't dislike it, he seemed to like it. And he didn't act differently afterwards. Maybe he really does like me as well. I'm just glad I finally had the guts to do that, Melissa thought. Don't worry, I'll answer you once this is over, Izuku stated as he kept walking towards the field. Izuku arrived on the field as all the other students were there as well. Alright ladies and gentlemen, officially we would have had 2 more events counting this one with them. However, the principal and the teachers have decided to make it one big last event for this year's sports festival. This is to make it a bit more fair for everyone since some aren't really fighters but support type quirks, and others are extreme powerhouses, Midnight stated. And so, we'll have a big free for all battle royal, she shouted as a giant fighting stage was created by 𝗵𝗲𝗄. In this battle royal, you can either choose to side with someone and defeat the strongest fighters first, or you can just fight solo, but beware, some of you might be targeted by more than one, Midnight stated. Bring it on, Izuku thought in his hand as he gave a confident smirk. Alright, all students on the field, Midnight stated. Won't this basically become a Class 1A versus 1B then? Mike added as he was doing the play-by-play. I wouldn't be so sure about that, Aizawa stated as everyone could hear it. You might be in for a surprise there, he added with a grin. Izuku knew what he meant, and he had already noticed it. The fighting stage was extremely big, even with 20 students on it, there would be room for a few 100 more. I bet everyone is dying to know who will win this round. Then why don't we find it out? Midnight stated. Ready, begin, she shouted as the crowd began cheering. Mike was right about Class 1B bonding together, however Shinso didn't belong to either of those classes, but was fighting the worst opponent possible for himself, Shoji. His brainwashing had no effect since Shoji was the silent type who wouldn't let anyone provoke him. He easily knocked Shinso off. However, 𝗧𝗵𝗲, Momo, Uraraka, Ida, Kaminari, Sato and Ojiro were already facing off with Class 1B until someone broke the fight by launching through it. Class 1A and 1B got separate as they saw Izuku down to one knee wiping his cheek. Not bad, but if that's the best you can do then don't try anymore, Izuku stated as he charged forward with his flames. Everyone looked who Izuku was fighting with as he then saw Bakugo, Todoroki and Tokoyami fighting Izuku. Would you see that? Aizawa was totally right. Everyone thought this was going to be a Class 1 versus Class 1B, however 3 of the students from 1A are fighting Izuku from Class 1A. Mike shouted. They have something of a rivalry going on to become the strongest, and so far Izuku has shown to be the strongest so far. I'm curious to see if they can beat him by working together, Aizawa stated with a bit of interest. Wow, Izuku is really fighting 3-on-1. That's really incredible, Mirio stated. Yeah, and it's not like his opponents are weak either, they are pretty powerful, however the one with the shadow has a big weakness, Tamaki stated. Yeah, but the other 2 are basically covering that weakness for him, they won't let Izuku get close to him, Mirio added. Izuku arrived at Bakugo, Todoroki and Tokoyami's part and the clash resumed. Izuku shot flames towards all of them as Bakugo blew the flames away with his explosions. Todoroki then shot ice towards Izuku as he melted them. However, right as he did, Dark Shadow appeared through it. Izuku blasted himself away with his flames to dodge as Dark Shadow kept following him. Izuku then managed to give an overhead flaming kick to Dark Shadow's head, launching it back to Tokoyami. Izuku landed on the floor, however when he did, more students gathered around him. I see more people joined in on the fun, Izuku stated. Well, normally we'd fight all of Class 1A, Monama stated. But with someone like you in Class 1A we might as well team up with them to beat you first, Tetsu stated. Izuku looked around as he noticed all the 18 remaining students were around him since ♀dropped out. So everyone on me then, huh? Bring it on, Izuku stated as he got fired up. He looked around and grinned. Kendo suddenly threw a giant fist at him, however Izuku blocked it, then Ojiro came up close, together with Tetsu and Kirishima. They all threw punches at him as Ojiro also threw his tail in to attack. Izuku was blocking all with immense speed, however then Ida and Uraraka appeared him as Ida carried Uraraka to get her behind him quickly. Back off! Izuku yelled as flames shot from him, launching everyone away. Monoma touched Bakugo's arm and began throwing explosions at Izuku. However those were blocked by a wall of flames. Suddenly Pony charged at Izuku with incredible big horns as Yui smiled. I bet that other girl must have increased the size of the horns, he thought as he dodged. Monoma quickly touched Todoroki's arm and charged a big glacier of ice at Izuku, however he countered by shooting a blast of flames which created a lot of steam from the melting ice. Through the steam, Bakugo and Todoroki appeared on Izuku's sides as Bakugo threw a big explosion while Todoroki used his flames. Izuku spinned around with his flames, clearing the steam away, but also protecting himself from the attacks. They jumped back quickly. Izuku then stopped at Shoji, Sato, Ojiro, Kirishima, Dark Shadow, Tetsu and Kendo charged right at Izuku. Sometimes Pony charged at him. Incredible! Even though Izuku is constantly on defense, he's holding back 18 students on his own. Now I understand why they made this a battle royal. One-on-one Izuku wouldn't have a problem fighting most of the students, Mike shouted. So far I only know Bakugo and Todoroki who can put up any real fight against Izuku from the first years. However, if Izuku went serious, even they wouldn't stand a chance. So in a battle royal, the chances are a bit more fair, and Izuku actually has to challenge himself. Right now they are preventing Izuku from attacking, because if he was to take someone out or given the chance to get serious, their chances would be getting lower and lower by the second, Aizawa explained. Well, he's not wrong, Izuku stated as he dodged all of the attacks. However, it isn't like I can't go serious mid-attack or defense, he said. As he jumped back and landed on a knee. All the close combat fighters jumped towards him but were blown away as flames with incredible power and force shot from Izuku. Izuku was covered in flames as he laughed confidently. Credit isn't mine. The pictures I use are from the same person that edited it for me. So who's next? Izuku asked with his smile. Most of them backed away a few steps, However, there were still those who tried to beat him. 𝗵𝗃𝗀 suddenly grabbed Kirishima and launched Kirishima with his explosion towards Izuku as he tried to throw a punch. However, Izuku gave a flaming uppercut to Kirishima's stomach, launching him high up in the air, making him fall off the stage. Kirishima is out. Izuku countered him with a powerful uppercut which threw him out of the stage. Mike shouted. 1 down, 17 to go, come on. Give me all you've got. Izuku stated as he held up his hand with flames. The close combat users charged at Izuku as he went low to the ground. Eruption, he said as flames shot from his back all around him, blowing them all away. Pony, Sato, Shohei, Ojiro, Tetsutetsu, Kendo, Ida, Azui, Uraraka, Momo, and even Kaminari, who wanted to use his lightning at Izuku, got all shot from the stage with this one incredibly powerful move. This left Bakugo, Todoroki, Monoma, Tokoyami, and Yui on the stage. Did he really just take 11 of us down with just one hit? Tokoyami asked with wide eyes. They looked around and they saw the students that got launched out laying in pain on the ground. Monoma tried shooting some ice at Izuku. The quality of ice and the amount you can create is incredible. It's close to Todoroki himself, however, Izuku stated as he destroyed the glacier of ice. The power behind it isn't nearly as strong as his, Izuku added as he threw a blast of flames at Monoma, launching him out of the ring. 4 more, Izuku said as he looked at his opponents. He finished with Yui, but she looked a bit afraid. Maybe it's best if you stepped away, Izuku said softly. She was surprised by this. He looked so fierce and terrifying with his powerful flames, yet he could still act so kind. Yui gulped. "Oh. I'm still a student of you, I'm not going to back down," she stated as Izuku smiled at her determination. Yui herself felt more relieved now that she knows that he's so kind even like that. Can you make my ice bigger if I shoot it at him? Or make Tokoyami's dark shadow bigger? Todoroki asks quietly as he stood next to Yui. I can, but will it work? She asked silently. It might if we're fast and smart enough. We can beat him, just the 4 of us, Todoroki stated. Which one do you want me to increase in size? Your ice or that dark shadow? She asked. My dark shadow, Tokoyami stated. If we make dark shadow bigger, he can hide a wide area, so behind dark shadow everyone can move freely. He can easily destroy the ice, Tokoyami explained. Yui then quickly made dark shadow bigger. Dark shadow became as big as Ida in size. If I make him any bigger it would be difficult for you to control, she stated. It's alright, if dark shadow moves around he still covers a wide field of his vision, especially if he makes an attack from above, Tokoyami stated. He then launched dark shadow at him as he zigzagged towards Izuku. Izuku kept watching closely as he then blocked dark shadow's fists from above. Not bad, but that won't do, Izuku said as he deflected dark shadow away with his flames as he then kicked towards his right as Bakugo appeared behind dark shadow's hand. Bakugo was kicked to the face as this launched him to the edge of the field. Izuku then aimed his hand backwards and shot a blast of fire to blow Todoroki away. It wasn't a bad strategy, but the way dark shadow moved made it obvious as to what you were planning, Izuku stated as Todoroki and Bakugo were groaning on the ground. It also has one big flaw, Izuku stated. What would that be? Tokoyami asked. That size reduces dark shadow's speed, he stated as he then appeared behind Tokoyami who had wide eyes. Which leaves you wide open, Izuku stated as he blasted Tokoyami out. Alright, shall we finish this up, guys? Izuku asked as he noticed Bakugo and Todoroki getting up. Izuku walked forward as they each stood at a side of Izuku. Todoroki shot both his quirks at the same time as his ice and flames swirled around each other towards Izuku. Bakugo had jumped up and launched at Izuku with his howitzer. Izuku held his hands up as flames circled in front of his hands as spheres of flames were created. Burning sphere, Izuku said as the spheres shot towards Todoroki and Bakugo. The clash between Bakugo and the sphere created an enormous explosion, while the sphere with Todoroki's attack became a real clash, but Izuku's power easily pushed through it and blew Todoroki off the stage. After the smoke cleared from the other clash, Bakugo laid on the ground unconscious. Incredible! Mike shouted. Izuku defeated 17 of the 18 people that came at him. He added as the crowd cheered wildly. Izuku then walked towards Yui. You still want to go? After witnessing all that? People far stronger than you, even power in numbers, all were blown away and are even now still on the ground in pain, Izuku stated as flames were coming from the back of his arms and legs. He stopped in front of her. I told you, I'm a student from 𝗬𝗧𝗏. I won't back down no matter what. Because I aim to become a hero. She stated confidently without hesitation. Izuku looked at her, however the look in her eyes didn't change and he didn't see any fear in her eyes. He just smiled and walked away. I give up, you wins, he stated as he eventually walked off the battlefield. 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗺𝗏. Mike shouted. Izuku was on the winning hand B. He suddenly gave up after he stood in front of Yui and even walked off the stage. Mike shouted. Since Yui is the last on the stage, and Izuku also gave up, the winner is Yui. Midnight shouted as everyone started cheering loudly. Yui kept looking towards Izuku, who just casually walked away while others were brought to the infirmary to recover from the damage. After the students had recovered, all the students walked to the field, as Yui, Izuku, Todoroki stood on the stage. On number 3 we have Bakugo and Todoroki. However, Bakugo decided that he didn't care, so only Todoroki will get the medal, Midnight stated as everyone clapped. At number 2, we have the incredible student in flames, Izuku. Midnight shouted as again clapping could be heard with some cheers as Midnight gave the smiling Izuku a medal. And lastly, on top number 1, we have Yui. Midnight shouted as everyone cheered loudly while she got first place medal. She kept looking at Izuku as she just couldn't understand why he did it and what he was thinking while giving up. Everyone was allowed to do as they pleased, as well as to go back to the dorms if they wanted to. Izuku was walking through the halls while he suddenly heard someone running behind him. Izuku. He turned around and saw Yui from running, as well as still a confused look on her face. What is it, Yui? He asked kindly. Why did you do it? Why did you give up? Yui asked. Apart from Shinso, who was beaten by one of your classmates, you beat everyone else, so why did you give up when faced with someone who's weaker than you? You could have easily defeated me, she stated. I'm curious, 𝗬𝗏 said as she walked from another side. Honestly, Yui, you underestimate yourself. You can control the size of everything. You expanded Dark Shadow and made Monoma's ice bigger, and you didn't even have to touch it, you just had to aim at it. You could have easily shrunken my flames to the point where they would have had no effect at all, Izuku stated as she looked surprised. Your power is stronger than you think. Try it, Izuku stated as he shot a flame towards her as he expanded it with his control over the flame. However, Yui aimed her hand at the flame as it shrunk at an incredible rate until it was nothing more than a dying flame before it reached her. You were right, she stated. The only reason you didn't know was because you were thinking of yourself as support to make others their power and quirks bigger, but your quirk can also be used as defense, and honestly you looked so insecure when fighting, but you stood determined in front of me at the end. Honestly, you deserved that win, Izuku stated. Thank you. You helped me get more confident and even teached me something from my quirk which I didn't even know, or maybe I was too afraid and insecure to notice it. Still, thank you, she stated as she gave Izuku a quick hug and ran back to her classmates. Seems like someone has a fan, Melissa teased as she also felt a bit sad. She felt as if other girls were slowly taking Izuku away from him. Which reminds me, I promised you an answer, Izuku stated. An answer? On what? She asked as she forgot about the kiss on the cheek. You got a fan, Izuku said as he softly kissed Melissa on the lips. I love you, Melissa. Alright then. After Izuku had given up while on the verge of winning, he ended up kissing Melissa and telling her he loves her. Melissa was completely taken back by it. She didn't even know if he liked her the same way as she liked him. She only gave him a hint, but Izuku just kissed right on her lips. It was weekend and Class 1A decided to go to a pool in the city. It's supposed to be pretty popular, so they decided to check it out. I can't believe it actually happened, she thought as she placed her fingers on her lips as she could still feel his lips on hers. Everything all right? Izuku asked. Yeah, I am. I was just thinking, Melissa stated. Thinking about what? Izuku asked curiously. You know, yesterday, she stated as she began blushing. You mean that I kissed you? Sorry if you didn't like it. I thought you meant that kiss on the cheek like a hint that you liked me, so I thought I'd answer you that way, Izuku stated, feeling a bit awkward as he thought he screwed up. Suddenly she placed her head against his. Don't worry, I did like it and it felt amazing, it's just I never really thought you would like me that way, she stated with a smile as she laid against him. Izuku placed an arm around her as they were still sitting in the bus towards the pool. Izuku saw Mina smirking from the seats in front of them. Izuku just smiled at her and then looked outside. Bakugo and Todoroki were still sulking because of their loss in the battle royal. However, ever since that fight, Todoroki has opened up, and also started talking with Izuku and the others. He noticed they aren't as weak as he thought, and they are actually kind people. He also figured that he could become stronger with others while still aiming for the top. Izuku can work together, however he was also amazingly strong on his own. Together with other powerful students he could be unstoppable. Todoroki wanted to be like that as well, strong on his own, but also being a great assist in a team. His father wanted him to surpass All Might no matter what, and always told him that others were just pebbles, they were nothing compared to him, he had to be the greatest. However, Todoroki realized that that was wrong. Izuku was very kind, and not arrogant at all, yet he is amazingly powerful, not because he is fixated on becoming the best, but because he's fighting to get stronger to protect others. Sure, he's aiming to become the number one, but everyone is doing that. However, he saw that it wasn't Izuku's only goal. Izuku wants to become stronger to protect his classmates, his family, all the innocent people, and also to free Island from the villains. Izuku even had his usual group he sat with during lunch breaks, which consisted of Ida, Azui, Uraraka, and Todoroki. At first they were a bit surprised that Todoroki wanted to join them. However, Izuku immediately told him it was alright with a bright smile. They were still all amazed by Izuku. He could be so gentle and kind, however when fighting he was incredible fierce. After a while they arrived at the pool, everyone quickly changed and walked around. Izuku kept his shirt on because he was actually feeling a bit uncomfortable showing his scars to so many people. He also didn't really jump in the water, the most he did was sit on the edge with his legs in the water. "You alright?" Melissa asked. "To be completely honest, I feel very uncomfortable. I know it's weird walking in my shirt like this, but I feel even more uncomfortable with showing my scars like that," Izuku stated as he sighed. "Don't worry, I'm here with you," Melissa stated from in the water as she placed her hand on his. "Thanks, Melissa," Izuku said with a smile. "I'm really lucky with you, you know that," he stated as she blushed. "Come on Izuku, come swim with us," Kirishima stated. "Sorry guys." Another time, Izuku stated with a bit of a sad smile. "Why don't you just give it a try? Everyone is looking at you now because you are the only one with a shirt on, but if you walk like the others I doubt anyone cares about it, and besides you've got us here and in the water the people can't see it," Melissa smiled. "Alright then, I'll be right back," Izuku sighed as he walked off. A while later Izuku came back without his shirt. He felt a bit uncomfortable as he walked back to his spot. "Man, this feel awkward," Izuku started as Melissa suddenly pulled him in the water. "Finally, stop complaining and have some fun with us," Melissa teased. "You haven't even said a thing about my bikini," she teased him. "Well, you look beautiful in everything you wear, but I have to say it looks amazing on you," Izuku stated as she started blushing. "And this may sound rude, but you've got a really nice figure too," Izuku stated as he blushed madly as he then went underwater and swam away from her, leaving her blushing madly in place. "Oh no, you're not getting away from me after saying that," Melissa then suddenly stated as she swam after him. Eventually she caught him and held her arms around his neck as she stayed on his back. "You think I'll let you leave after saying such a thing?" she whispered in his ear. "After kissing me like that, then saying something like that? You know there is only one thing to say after that," she stated. "What?" Izuku asked, a bit curious. "𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗃, from now on you are mine," she stated as she turned him around and gave him a soft kiss on the lips. "You know, I'm not even going to try and get away from that. I'd love to be yours, because that will also make you mine," Izuku stated with a smile. After that, Izuku and Melissa joined the others as they were having fun. Izuku and Melissa also went from the water slide as Izuku secretly boosted them slightly with his quirk. They were all having a lot of fun. However, like they say, times fly when you are having fun, and it was alright time to go back since the swimming pool was closing. They all dried themselves and turned into their normal clothes. The ride back to UA felt much shorter than the way towards the swimming pool, and they were back before they knew it. Izuku and his classmates walked into UA. However, the classmates suddenly noticed flames around Izuku as he created a wall of flames towards the air on his left side, as they then felt the force of a clash. "What was that?" Melissa asked. "What do you think you are doing?" Izuku asked as he turned towards the one that attacked. "Teach, after doing so well in the sports festival, you rookies think you're actually something, don't you?" the boy stated. "What did you just say?" Bakugo asked as he stood next to Izuku together with Todoroki, as then suddenly two more boys walked up next to the attacker. "If you really think you are so though, why don't we prove to you here and now that you're weak compared to the older students here," the guy stated. Class 1A was actually trying to stop Bakugo as they knew he would act on such provocations. However, it was Izuku who responded by activating his quirk. "You know what? Why not? I'll show you that being older doesn't always make you better. You might have had more time to practice, but trust me, it doesn't make you unbeatable," Izuku stated as he released his flames. The flames came from the sides and back of his arms and legs instead of covering his whole body. At first the flames were calm around him, however as Izuku noticed them getting ready, his flames started raging on his arms and legs as it wanted to attack out of itself. "Alright, hold it right there," they heard as Nizu and Aizawa walked up together. "𝗵𝗃𝗲, are you really planning to fight here like that? You sure you want to risk your career and also your chance at UA?" Aizawa asked. Izuku just kept looking at Aizawa fiercely without saying a thing. Aizawa noticed this and actually felt a bit of a chill. He's so intense from their provocation. Just what did Izuku feel from them? Aizawa thought. "Alright, then I want to state a request," the guy that attacked stated. "Yes, what is it?" Nizu asked as he saw Izuku look at him sideways with his fierce look in his eyes. "Why don't we make this a battle for all of UA? Those three think they are impressive, and the three of us are the best from our class. So why don't we make this a fight where every class chooses their top 3 fighters, and they have to fight the other top 3s for other classes," the guy stated. "Now that sounds like a good idea," Bakugo stated while explosions appeared in his hands. Nizu looked at Izuku again, who was still looking towards the guy from his side, as he then turned his gaze towards Nizu and nodded. "Alright then, I'll accept it and I'll let the other classes know as well. We should have enough since the second and third years have 3 classes instead of 2 like the first years," Nizu stated as he walked off. Izuku then walked away to his dorm. "Watch out," he heard as flames rose up behind him, blocking another move while he didn't even look. "So you are that much of a coward that you can only attack with sneak attacks, huh?" Izuku asked off as he turned around. "Well, let's see how you handle head-on," Izuku stated as he charged towards them with his flames. 𝗵𝗃𝗲 quickly created a wall as Aizawa stopped Izuku's quirk and binded him. However, Izuku's normal physical power was giving him trouble to keep him back. "Keep it down, Izuku, we understand, but think about what you are doing," Aizawa stated. Izuku then calmed down and turned around. "I'll be one of the fighters for Class 1A no matter what," he stated before walking off. Melissa ran after him. She was a bit shocked as she never saw him like that. "Izuku, what's wrong? It isn't like you to act like that," she stated softly. "I'm sorry, it's just he attacked with the real intent to injure us, then he starts provoking and saying we are weak. I just couldn't hold back anymore, especially not after that second attack," Izuku stated. "Yeah, I can understand that. That's exactly why you'll teach them a lesson, right?" she stated as she walked next to him while smiling at him. "I sure as hell will," Izuku stated as he clenched his fist with flames. "So has anyone else seen Izuku act like that?" Mina asked. "Well, if he hadn't attacked, I would have done it," Bakugo stated. "Yeah, but we're used to you making such decisions. Izuku is mostly so calm," Momo stated. "Think about it, Izuku noticed the attack coming while we didn't, and even though it was an attack from someone from UA, we could still feel the impact from the clash. Izuku must have felt how much power was being used, and seeing him react like that, they really meant to injure us," Todoroki explained. "Well, after provoking him like that after the attack, I can understand his reaction," Azui stated. "Bakugo, Todoroki, you two will fight together with Izuku," Aizawa stated. "You sure that's a good idea? They aren't exactly the best at teamwork," Uraraka asked. "Maybe, but if they do work together, then they will be able to beat this entire school," Aizawa stated. Everyone went back to their dorm as they were all a bit agitated by the arrogant pig from higher up. They all sat and talked a bit more as they also told Izuku that he would be fighting together with 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 and Todoroki. Eventually they all decided to go to bed early. However, before they went to bed, Aizawa told them that classes tomorrow will be cancelled due to the fights. "I want you three to win you here. I can't stand the arrogance from those brats," Aizawa stated as everyone started laughing. Everyone then went to bed as Melissa snuggled up to Izuku again. She loved being together with him like that, especially since he's now hers. Izuku kissed her in the neck to tease her, as she then tickled him. Eventually they kissed each other goodnight and went to sleep. The next morning everyone got up early as they were all fired up. They all walked towards school as they were asked to meet up in class anyway before it all started. Once there, Aizawa explained that the fights will be held in their hero suits. Izuku, 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 and Todoroki grabbed their suits and went to change. Once they were done, they walked towards the training field just next to the school. "So I see everyone is here now," 𝗧𝗵𝗲 stated as he saw Izuku, 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 and Todoroki coming. "Tsh, lowest of us all, and then thinking they can show up late," the guy stated. "I'm going to love blasting you to Recovery Girl's office," Izuku stated silently as 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 looked at him surprised. "What?" Izuku asked. "Nothing, I'm just very proud of you right now," he stated, still surprised. 𝗵𝗵𝗃𝗁 had created seats for all other students as well as the teachers. "Alright then, first, I want Class 3A versus 1B," 𝗧𝗵𝗲 stated. "I'd like the others to step away from the field. I know Mirio is from Class 3B and that I think Nijire and Tamaki are normally 3, however I decided to put them together in the same class so they are all in Class 3B. Just a note for people who might notice it, Class 3A had the 3 guys that provoked Izuku the day before. He knew the one that attacked him was having a strong attack as well. He also had a fire quirk just like Izuku. Another student had lightning charged around him, as the other student apparently had a earth quirk. Class 1B was made out of Kendo, Yui and Tetsu. Izuku could understand immediately why, as Yui looked determined towards him. They will use Yui to keep long-distance moves ineffective, and since that will make it close combat, they are using Tetsu, who has a hardening quirk that makes him as hard as steel, while Kendo is good at martial arts and has those giant fists, Izuku explained silently. The fight began and Izuku was watching Class 3A very closely. If Class 1B wins, then he didn't really care about them. However, if Class 3A manages to win, then Izuku hopes they'll make it till they face Class 1A as they want to put them in their place themselves. The fire user shot the same fireball like before towards them. However, Yui shrunk it till it was even smaller than a candle fire. Kendo used her giant fist to crush a boulder from the earth user while Tetsu deflected the lightning with his steel skin. They immediately rushed in as they started fighting. Izuku then noticed the third year's grinning, then right as Kendo was about to punch the flame user, he punched her towards the lungs, making her gasp for air, then even making a powerful fireball explode right at the same place, blowing a part of the suit away while also burning some skin away. Tetsu was taken off guard as he got a lightning javelin to the back while a big pillar shot from the ground to his stomach as the flame user walked towards him, grabbed his hair and blasted him in the face. Izuku was now beyond angry. This wasn't a fair fight anymore. Just that punch with that power was already enough to put Kendo down. However, he even placed full power in his blast to injure her for real. Guess we went too easy on them, he heard the fire user say silently as a lot of heat then shot from Izuku. Calm down, once it's our turn we'll put them in their place, Todoroki stated. Yui saw that they were actually trying to injure them badly, and since she also cared about Kendo and Tetsu and knew they didn't want to give up, she decided to give the match to Class 3, mostly to protect her friends. Izuku walked towards the field. "You guys did great, I understood your tactic right from the start. It's a shame they were your first opponents and had to play dirty like that and actually tried to injure you badly," he explained as Yui helped Tetsu up. Izuku lifted Kendo up and brought her to Recovery Girl as Yui helped Tetsu there. Izuku placed Kendo on a bed then walked back to the door. Izuku, he heard behind him as he saw Kendo looking at him in pain, together with Yui who looked worried towards him. "Put them in their place, and give them a hit for us too," she stated. "I will, you just rest, I'll be sure to pay them back for you," Izuku stated as he walked outside. When Izuku got back, the next match was already concluded as Class 3B fought against 2C. 3B had won and 3C fought 2A. 3C had won this battle and now it was time for Class 1A versus 2B. Izuku, Bakugo and Todoroki silently walked towards the field as the others walked towards it very confidently like they had already won. Well, if you guys are as pathetic as the other first years, then this fight will be a breeze, the leader of the 2B group stated. I'll handle this in one blow, Izuku stated as Todoroki and Bakugo nodded. They didn't really care about second years, they just wanted to beat Class 3A after how they acted. Izuku stepped forward as his eyes were hidden behind his hair. So you are really so dumb as to underestimate us? The students from Class 2B asked. I'm not underestimating anyone, you are underestimating me and overestimating yourself. You've got a lot of arrogance, but nothing to back it up. Let me show you real power, Izuku stated. The match began as Class 2B took a stance. Izuku just held up his hand as an enormous fireball was instantly created and shot, blowing all three of them away in the blink of an eye. Everyone was shocked by this. They never knew a first-year student could do that. Class 1A was shocked as they had never seen Izuku like that, but they knew it was because of 3A and what they did to 1B. They had already won that battle, but decided to do extra damage while it wasn't needed. The Battle of UA started with 8 classes, 4 had already gone down, leaving 4 more. The remaining matches were Class 1A versus 3A, Class 3B versus 3C. Class 1A walked up the field as 3A came, Oswell still grinning. So you guys ready for the same treatment? The flame user asked. Izuku, Bakugo and Todoroki didn't respond, they just glared at them. Too scared to even talk, 𝗧𝗵𝗃 the lightning user said. Let's finish this quickly, they aren't worth fighting anyways, the earth user stated. Go ahead and underestimate us, you won't even be able to place a scratch on us, Izuku stated. Oh really now? Let's test that statement. The flame user said as he threw a large meteorite-like fireball from the sky at Izuku. However, Izuku didn't move and took it head-on. Haha, after all that talk and he couldn't even respond to my attack, the flame user stated. You call that a fire attack? Honestly, even walking through the sun is warmer, Izuku suddenly said from inside the smokescreen from the attack. Once it cleared, they noticed Izuku had flames coming from his arms and legs again, but he really didn't have a scratch. Impossible, the fire user stated. Flaming beast, Izuku stated as flames gathered behind him, creating a lion made out of flames. This is a real fire attack, Izuku stated as the lion charged towards the fire user at incredible speed. The other students tried stopping the lion, however it evaded all the attacks, then grabbed onto the flame user's arm as it exploded. Once the smoke died down, the flame user's left part of the hero suit was completely burned away, as he had burn wounds on his arm as well as on his chest. Didn't you say that first years are weaker compared to older students? I don't have a scratch yet, you are basically already in recovery girl's office, Izuku stated as he looked up as they could see one eye from underneath his hair, however it was glowing by his flames. Let me show you just how terrifying flames can be, Izuku stated as flames lightly swirled around him as it then shot up into the sky with intense pressure. The other students took a step back, everyone else was just shocked to see Izuku keep acting like that. Aizawa and the other students who knew how Izuku was were a bit worried about him. They knew he was angry, but still. Maybe we should stop this? Mike stated. Do you really think we can stop such incredible power? Aizawa asked. Well, you could erase his quirk. Mike stated. If I do that, then they'll pull another cheap shot, and besides I can only erase one quirk at a time. There are 5 more students there, Aizawa stated. Let them be for now, Nizu stated as he looked at it with an excited look. TSH, we won't be intimidated by first years, they shouted as they all threw attacks. Izuku blasted the flames away with his own flames. Bakugo threw an explosion blocking the lightning as Todoroki used his ice towards the earth user. Todoroki then froze the whole ground, including the earth user's feet. If the whole ground is frozen, you won't be able to use your quirk right, he stated as the earth user seemed in trouble. The flame user then shot his flames over the ground, melting all the ice. However, in that instant Izuku had launched Bakugo with his flames and Bakugo's explosion towards him. The combination made Bakugo move so fast that they lost him from their sights for a second as Bakugo then blew a powerful explosion to the earth user. Todoroki and Izuku then combined their flames into a huge blast and launched the lightning user away. You're just first years. This shouldn't be happening. We are much stronger than you'll ever be. The flame user shouted in an arrogant tone. Let's finish this already, 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 stated. The fire user then shot a giant tornado-like blast of flames towards 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁, but then Izuku appeared in front of 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 as he easily blocked the flames. 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗪 made a field of ice. Then before the flame user could melt it, 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 was launching himself low to the ground with his explosion towards the flame user as he kicked his feet, making him lose his balance. Izuku then appeared in front of him as he uppercut him in the gut. This is for Class 1B, they give you their regards. Izuku stated as he kept pushing his flaming fist, launching the student over his own head, then slamming him into the ground as it created a crater and a circle of fire shot through the ground around them. Suddenly the earth and lightning users appeared behind Izuku as the earth user held an enormous spike from earth above him, as the lightning user wanted to stab Izuku with a spear of lightning. 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 and 𝗳𝗏𝗁𝗁 then also appeared as the spike was frozen and broken as he then blasted the earth user with his flames, launching him far away. 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 launched himself up, kicking the lightning user in the gut, making him lose control of his lightning, which made the spear disappear. He then shot behind the lightning user, grabbed the back of his head and launched them down towards the ground with a powerful explosion. Class 3A was completely destroyed by Class 1A, which made Class 1A the winner. Everyone cheered loudly. Class 1A showed them amazing power and combination moves, but everyone also hated the trio that was now unconscious on the ground. Class 1A and 1B were the happiest of everyone, especially after what they did to the trio from 1B. However, when Izuku looked towards where the students were sitting, he noticed Yui, Kendo and Tetsu watching 𝗬𝗃𝗁 as they smiled towards them and held their thumbs up. Izuku nodded with a smile as he had calmed down after defeating them like that. He walked towards them to talk. So how are you two doing? Izuku asked kindly. We're doing all right, it still hurts a lot, but seeing you wipe them out like that made it all better. Also thanks for bringing me to recovery girls, Kendo stated. No problem, Izuku said with a smile as he then heard that Class 3B had won already. He quickly turned around and now noticed that Class 3B was made up of Mirio, Nijire and Tamaki. Now this will be fun, Izuku stated as he looked towards the Class 3B team. Class 3B, do you want a break? Or do you want to continue to the final fight? Midnight asked. We're ready when Class 1A, Mirio stated confidently. We are ready, 𝗬𝗃𝗁𝗁, Izuku stated as he walked forward to face them. 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 and 𝗳𝗏𝗁𝗁 had also gotten besides Izuku. The two remaining classes faced each other as they took their stances. All right, you may begin. Midnight stated. All right, let's make quick work of them, 𝗬𝗃𝗁𝗁 stated. If you think this will be easy, you are really making a mistake, Izuku stated. Shut up, you've had your fun with the other two battles. They were easy, 𝗬𝗃𝗁, we'll beat them, 𝗬𝗃𝗁𝗁 yelled. If you really think that, then go ahead, but I'm not following in your reckless charge, Izuku stated as he stood up from his fighting stance. I'm not going to be so foolish to underestimate them, he added. Whatever, you're still a spineless coward even with all that power, 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 shouted as he ran forward. 𝗳𝗏𝗁𝗁 joined him in his charge as Izuku sighed, however he didn't join them. Why isn't Izuku moving, Momo asked. Because he knows this opponent is though to beat, and he knows charging in like 𝗵𝗃𝗁𝗁 and 𝗳𝗏𝗁𝗁 are doing now will make them lose, Melissa stated. You're right, 𝗵𝗃𝗁𝗁 was too arrogant to actually watch other matches, so was 𝗳𝗏𝗁𝗁𝗁. However, Izuku, without seeing their battles, knows that his opponent is strong, Iida stated. That's because those three they face are known as the Big Three, Aizawa explained as he sat beside them. The Big Three? Azui asked. They are the best UA has to offer at this moment. They have incredible power on their own, but they work together in perfect sync. If they rush in without a plan, then this fight will be as good as over, Aizawa stated. I wouldn't be so sure about that, Melissa stated with a smile. It might be true that if Izuku, 𝗵𝗃𝗁𝗁 and 𝗳𝗏𝗁𝗁𝗁 work together they will almost be unbeatable. However, Izuku himself is extremely powerful in his own right and he hasn't shown everything he has yet, she stated. Class 1A and Aizawa turned towards the fight and noticed 𝗵𝗃𝗁𝗁 and 𝗳𝗏𝗁𝗁𝗁 were having trouble. Mirio suddenly passed through 𝗳𝗏𝗁𝗁𝗁's ice and punched him in the gut, then to the face, launching him away. Meanwhile, 𝗵𝗃𝗁𝗁 charged at Mirio, but was brought off balance by Tamaki, who used his tentacles to pull his leg as he was then kicked to the jaw by Mirio and blasted away by Nijire. Both 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 and 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗏 were already down in a matter of seconds. Izuku hadn't lifted a finger but had to face the big three all on his own now. Izuku walked towards 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 and 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗏. "I told you it wouldn't be that easy to beat those three," he stated. "Shut up already, we figured that out on our own just now." 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 coughed as he curled up in a ball from the painful hits. 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗏 also needed some time to recover. "You guys just recover for now, let me know when you'll be ready to fight again. We'll have to fight together if we want to beat them," Izuku stated. "What about you?" 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗏 asked. "I'll hold them off until then. I could maybe beat them on my own, but it will be very though. Our best bet is to work together, because if I make one mistake, it'll be over," Izuku stated as he got up again while charging his flames. "So, it's your turn now, is it?" 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 asked with a confident grin. "Yeah, I warned them that you guys weren't pushovers, but they had to learn the hard way," Izuku stated. "You are underestimating us, 𝗳𝗃𝗧𝗏, thinking you can face us alone," 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 stated. "Maybe, but then maybe I'm not. Maybe my strength will be enough to face you guys. I'm not so foolish to underestimate strong opponents, but I'm not going to back down either. If you guys are faster and or stronger than me, then I'll just have to go beyond that," Izuku stated with a grin as his flames intensified. "I like your determination, let's go," 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 stated as he charged at Izuku. Suddenly he disappeared. Izuku then noticed tentacles gliding low to the ground and 𝗳𝗧𝗧𝗏 charging her quirk. "They want me to focus on 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁, so Tamaki can either hold me or bring me off balance and finish me the same way they did with 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁," Izuku thought. He then shot a line of flames over the ground as this burned the tentacles away. Izuku then aimed his hand towards 𝗳𝗧𝗧𝗏 and shot a sphere of flames at the exact same time he backflipped to dodge 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁. The sphere reached 𝗳𝗧𝗧𝗏 as she had to shoot her quirk to destroy the sphere. "Not bad. It's incredible you've already seen through that after only witnessing it once on your classmates," 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 stated. "I thought we weren't underestimating here," Izuku asked with a grin. "Alright then, we'll become serious now, 𝗳𝗃𝗧𝗏," 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 stated as 𝗳𝗧𝗧𝗏 aimed both of her hands at Izuku. However, this time she was charging different attacks. At first it was one charged attack concentrated from both hands, however now there were separate attacks. 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 ran towards Izuku and fought in close combat as 𝗳𝗧𝗧𝗏 then fired her quirk, shooting a barrage of energy shots. They all passed through a smiling 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁. Izuku managed to jump away just in time as he then saw Tamaki charging at him with incredible speed as he tried to tackle Izuku with a giant powerful clam. Izuku managed to block it but shooting flames through his feet as well as holding his ground against the clam. However, once he made Tamaki stop, he hammered down with a crab hammer. Izuku managed to push the clam away and blocked the hammer with his arms as the force created a small crater underneath him. Izuku then kicked Tamaki in the stomach as his feet were covered in flames. He immediately jumped to the side, dodging 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁's punch as he then backflipped a few times as he dodged the barrage form 𝗳𝗧𝗧𝗏. "Incredible," 𝗧𝗵𝗏 stated. "Even though that Izuku kid is only on defense, he's actually holding his own against the big three. I've never seen anything like this," he added. "Neither have I, but this is definitely an amazing battle," 𝗧𝗍𝗍 stated. "I have to admit, I never thought you would be able to last this long," 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 stated. "Well, you're not making it easy for me, that's for sure," Izuku stated. Tamaki then charged at Izuku, but this time he was using his tentacles as well as a clam to attack. First he attacks with his clam, then as Izuku deflected that, Tamaki attacks with his tentacles as Izuku dodges them all with incredible speed until 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 manages to catch him from behind as he quickly holds Izuku in a lock as Izuku's arms are stuck to his body. "You won't be able to block like this," 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 stated as 𝗳𝗧𝗧𝗏 charged an incredibly strong move as even lightning shot off of the attack. "That looks bad," Izuku stated. She then shot it. Izuku managed to move his arms a little as he then managed to unleash his full power just in time to free himself from 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁's lock. Izuku then quickly swept the ground with a flaming kick, as he then kicked the air around his middle before then jumping to kick in the air again, which created a powerful tornado of flames which blocked 𝗳𝗧𝗧𝗏's attack. "Phew, that was close," Izuku stated as he and wiped some sweat away. "I have to admit you really are incredible," Tamaki stated. "Yeah, normally this would have done our opponent in, especially if it's just one person, but you are actually keeping up and countering us, as well as blocking and dodging us," 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 stated. "Yeah well, it's taking almost everything I've got to keep up," Izuku stated. "But from now on, You'll be the one on the defensive, Izuku stated smiling. Is that right? 𝗵𝘃𝗀 asked as suddenly ice shot towards 𝗵𝘃𝗀 and 𝗬𝗵𝗃 as this was destroyed by 𝗳𝗧𝗍, however this left her open as 𝗵𝘃𝗀 blew her towards 𝗵𝘃𝗀 and 𝗬𝗵𝗃 with his explosion. 𝗵𝘃𝗀 caught 𝗳𝗧𝗍 before she landed on the ground, however the big three were now surrounded. I see, you never fought us to beat us, you were buying time, 𝗵𝘃𝗀 stated. I could have risked fighting the three of you head-on, I would either barely win or barely lose, so I decided it would be best to hold you guys off until they recovered, Izuku explained. Smart move, but do you really think this changes anything? 𝗵𝘃𝗀 asked as he then disappeared. We can still defeat you one at a time. 𝗵𝘃𝗀 stated as he appeared in front of 𝗳𝗱𝗪𝗀, however he was then blasted from the side by 𝗵𝘃𝗀's explosion. 𝗬𝗵𝗃 wanted to attack with his tentacles, however they were frozen by 𝗳𝗱𝗪𝗀's ice as the ice kept moving forward and reached 𝗬𝗵𝗃 hitting him in the chest. 𝗳𝗧𝗍 destroyed the ice and shot her quirk then directly at 𝗳𝗱𝗪𝗀 and 𝗵𝘃𝗀, however Izuku then appeared in front of them as he shot a blast of fire which shot through her quirk and exploded against her. 𝗬𝗵𝗃 slammed towards them with two crab hammers, however 𝗳𝗱𝗪𝗀 stopped them with his ice, as 𝗵𝘃𝗀 and Izuku blew them away with flames and explosion. 𝗵𝘃𝗀 then shot through 𝗬𝗵𝗃 as he aimed at 𝗳𝗱𝗪𝗀 who tried using his flames. 𝗵𝘃𝗀 kept advancing as the flames just went through him and he was about to punch 𝗳𝗱𝗪𝗀 in the face. Suddenly 𝗳𝗱ъ grinned, Izuku placed a hand on the ground as he backflipped while kicking 𝗵𝘃𝗀 in the jaw. 𝗵𝘃𝗀 then placed his hands on 𝗵𝘃𝗀's chest and blew him away with his explosion as this knocked him out. 𝗬𝗵𝗃 tried grabbing Izuku and managed to grab his arm, however 𝗳𝗱ъ just froze the tentacles. 𝗳𝗧𝗍 then blew away the ice, however Izuku pulled 𝗬𝗵𝗃 closer as he and 𝗵𝘃𝗀 punched him in the gut at the same time making him cough. 𝗳𝗱ъ then caught him in ice leaving only 𝗳𝗧𝗍. Incredible! First 𝗵𝘃𝗀 and 𝗳𝗱ъ get taken out easily and Izuku holds them off, but the moment they started working together they have been dominating the battle with overwhelming power and speed. Mike stated. The Big Three's biggest strength is their combination. 𝗵𝘃𝗀 is the main attacker as 𝗳𝗧𝗍 backs him up and 𝗬𝗵𝗃 tries to catch the enemy off guard. 𝗬𝗵𝗃 can 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗧𝗔 which makes him incredibly powerful, however 𝗳𝗧𝗍 almost always stays as support even though she is an attacker, 𝗧𝗵𝗃 explained. Izuku, 𝗵𝘃𝗀 and 𝗳𝗱ъ however are completely different, they mostly fight on their own, but can make a deadly combination when working together. Izuku has both power and speed, he demonstrated it by holding the Big Three off. 𝗵𝘃𝗀 has destructive force but lacks the speed, however his lack of speed is being compensated by his incredible reflexes. 𝗳𝗱ъ has an eye for details and doesn't miss a movement which makes him able to see most incoming attacks and act to them. He can even 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗏 between fire and ice which makes him also very powerful. They might not be as coordinated as the Big Three, but with their styles they are covering each other incredibly well, Izawa explained. 𝗵𝘃𝗀 shot up towards 𝗳𝗧𝗍 as he fought her mid-air while throwing explosions, however she was much faster and more flexible in the air as she flew by using her quirk on her feet and body. 𝗵𝘃𝗀 needed to use his hands both for flying as well as attacking. Suddenly flames shot from the ground towards her, she looked down and saw 𝗳𝗱ъ down there so she dodged it. However she immediately noticed Izuku behind her as he controlled the flames and created a cage-like sphere around 𝗳𝗧𝗍. Can you even control other people's flames? She asked. Who said anything about this being 𝗳𝗱ъ's flames? I shot them from there myself so you would think he shot them, Izuku stated as he launched her towards the ground as 𝗳𝗱ъ then caught her arms and legs in ice. The winners are Izuku, 𝗵𝘃𝗀 and 𝗳𝗱ъ from Class 1A. Midnight stated. However right at that time, the three students from Class 3A attacked them from the back throwing their elements at them. However Yui shrunk the attacks as Kendo slapped them like a fly launching them towards Tetsu who jumps towards them. He headbutted the flame user between the lungs as the other two gained a lunge there with incredible force as they then fell unconscious to the ground. Finally paybacked, Kendo sighed. Glad you got that done, Izuku said smiling at them, and thanks for having our backs. He added in. It's repaying for helping us to Recovery Girl and pummeling them for us as well, Tetsu stated as Kendo and Yui nodded. The 3 students from Class 3A only got first aid treatment and were then expelled for their aggressive behavior and attacking students multiple times outside of 𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗏 as trying to seriously injure other students. Kendo was treated some more by Recovery Girl as her wound looked pretty badly, however she completely healed up just fine. Izuku was exhausted after throwing around so much power against 3A, then fighting the big 3 on his own for a while. Everyone was still excited about the fights that happened today. They were also amazed by how well everyone fought. However, back at the dorm, Izuku sat on the couch but quickly fell asleep. Melissa, who said would take care of him, laid down against him with her head on his chest as she then fell asleep against him.